And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon. I'm a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. For those of you that don't know, we do everything from printer unboxings, like our Bamboo X1Cs here, Reality K1C. We had an Anycubic that'll make its way back up here shortly, to printer builds like our Vorons, our black box over here, the LH Stinger right behind me. We do a lot of prototyping like the black box where we took part in the beta. And, hey, Timor, welcome in. And we do a lot of other things. And normally it's 3D printing adjacent, but coming up this weekend, we're going to start a new and interesting project for some of you. So hopefully you all will like that. Hey, Eagle the Dragon, welcome on in. You might hear some things printing in the background. I am attempting to print again over on the RatRig, and fingers crossed, it looks like we're going to get a copy mode print done. Slowed some things down. Completely washed both sides of the bed. Let me switch over to this camera. Come over here. So I took the bed off, completely washed both sides of the bed with some Dawn Power Wash, brought it back up here, put some Vision Miner on it, and then I heated the bed up to 60°C and let it sit there for a good 30 minutes to let everything heat up and kind of get itself oriented. And then I heated up the nozzles, let those sit for a little bit, then went through, did the homing, the Z-tilt adjust, and put it in IDEX mode and said go. And so far it seems to be doing good. Normally the right-hand side will break free, but it looks like we've gone, fingers crossed, looks like we're going to get done. Hey, Chris, too, how's it going? How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Hey, Chris, I'm not sure if you've seen the new Digital Dragon 3D mugs. We've got light mode like this, which is 12, 15, and 20 ounce. This is the 20 ounce mug, of course, filled with some Black Rifle Coffee Company Tacti-Squatch. And we also have dark mode in 12 and 15 ounce. We also got some 20 ounce water bottles in light and dark mode as well, right? And some new shirts. So yeah, we got merch. And thanks to the other wholesome Chris, it was announced today that all affiliate links, if you follow my affiliate link, so it's what is it? Bang KB3D. Here we go. There's a big change to this. If you use my affiliate link, you will now get 5% off of your order, and then a small percentage also kicked back into the channel. So please feel free to go and visit KB3D and get you some merch. Get you some items for your next printer build. Yeah, shill. And this is our next project. This is, hold on, give me 1 second to get a couple more things off the bench here so I don't knock other things over as I move this around. Okay. So this is a Singer model 1591 sewing machine from, well, the batch of Hey, Shrimp Father, welcome in. So the batch of serial numbers, we've got our serial number right here. This batch of serial numbers was released December of 1949. There was about 50,000 in that batch. And the next batch of serial numbers in the Model 15 range came out in March of 1950. This is somewhere between December 1949 and March of 1950. I'm probably going to say December 49, January 1950, based on how close this serial number is to the front of the range that was issued. These were manufactured all over the world, and as you can see, this one has had a little bit of love. The gilding that you see around the edge here used to go all the way around the front and back. And since you can no longer see it, the way that these would be done, they would be painted in black lacquer. Then they would apply these decals on the machine, and then they would come back over it with a couple of coats of clear lacquer. So since there's no decaled gilding along the front edge here, and this is primarily gone, that tells me that there's been so much use on this machine that they've stripped off the top layers of clear lacquer, stripped off the decal, and most likely have, like right down in here, oh no, that's a little bit of the decal right there, possibly gone down into some of the coats of actual lacquer. The plan here is to clean. So we're going to take this completely apart. We're going to clean it, and we're going to basically service it and bring it back to working order. Now it does work. It does, everything does move, right? So this is just manually moving it. It is moving. So it's not seized, but we don't have the plug for it. So let me flip this around to the other side here. So the 1591 is interesting in the fact that it wasn't a treadle, which means there would be a big foot paddle at the bottom of the table, and you would use your foot to run it. So instead, this has a motor. So inside here is a potted motor with carbon brushes and so forth. And we've got a line that comes out and goes into the motor. There's another line that comes out up here, and this is a light. We're going to have to replace, well, I'm not sure if the light bulb is blown or not because I have no way of getting power to it. And I say that because, well, there's our 3-prong power receptacle, and I don't have there was no power plug, right? And into this power plug, this was supposed to be joined in. This is a foot pedal. Now, the interesting thing about this is on the cabinet, this foot pedal, you can pull it out and put it on the floor, and it's a rheostat. So you could rest your foot on this side, which is non-moving, and just kind of roll it over and start to push down this button. And it's kind of like a potentiometer. The more you push down, the quicker it's going to spin the motor, right? We're going to wind up taking this apart, completely verifying all the wire. And I can tell you this wiring, and most likely the rest of the wiring, is going to have to go. This is just falling apart and crumbling. It's breaking, right? So this wiring shot is just too old. So we're going to be rewiring things, and it's filthy. It is nasty, filthy. So we will be rewiring all of this to make it work. We're going to have to show some love to things on the outside. Anything that's black lacquer, we're going to be cleaning, and this is going to sound really strange. we're going to be cleaning it with sewing machine oil. Okay? The only thing that the manufacturer can guarantee was not going to damage the lacquer paint on this was sewing machine oil, which is a solvent. It's just a very slow acting solvent. And we'll get into it. I've watched plenty of videos on this, so I'm going to be watching videos in the background. And like I said, we're going to be taking this whole thing apart. We're going to be meticulous in bagging up the parts for the different components so that as we go through and clean them, like these metal parts, this metal part, this front piece here, we'll take this off. We'll clean this with some solvents, right? Because we can clean this with solvents. But the rest of the machine, it's all the black lacquer, we're only going to use machine oil, and we're going to rub it on, let it sit, and try and clean it off. And you will see how much stuff is going to come off on it, right? Leaving for the Starship launch. Okay, Timor, or you can just bring it up in a separate video. I know a lot of you are probably over on Pez Liz's stream as well. She's been streaming on Twitch most of the day. Okay, Beard Printer. Yeah, so this is a Singer Model 1594 sewing machine. This was Mrs. Dragon's grandmother's. So Mrs. Dragon and Eagle the Dragon, that's her brother. This was their grandmother's sewing machine. And the serial number, the batch serial number was issued, a batch of 50,000 serial numbers for the Model 15 series was issued December of 1949. And they just used them for any Model 15 produced at any of the Singer factories around the world. So chances are, based on how close this is to the beginning of the range, this was built either in December 1949 or January 1950. And like I said, you'll see that there's, this gilding around the edge. These are decals. So it was painted with black lacquer. It's cast, painted with black lacquer. Then they applied the decals. Then they put some lacquer clear coat finish over it. So when we start cleaning this down, we're going to see that lacquer finish brighten up because we're going to be taking off old machine oil. So a lot of the stuff that's on here might be old machine oil. It might just be wear where they've, it looks like there's a section here where they may have had their arm constantly on it as they were moving stuff through. It's just wear. That's exactly what all it is normal wear, right? So what we're going to be doing is tearing this thing completely down, checking out to see what needs to be replaced. I've already ordered a bunch of stuff from the old Singer shop, right? One of several places, but this is, I knew where I could get a bunch of it in one go. And I got some things that we're going to need. So sewing machine oil. Once again, we're going to be using this as a very light solvent to clean up all of the black lacquered finishes and to provide a little bit of a protective coat over that. Just very light coat of machine oil, because this was the one thing that they could guarantee would be all over this machine, because you would have to routinely oil and grease things on this machine. And like I said, the simple fact that it's still working, even with as long as it's been sitting, is amazing. Okay. So well used, well loved, and we're going to keep it that way. We're going to use the right stuff. So we got sewing machine oil for inside the motor and the gears back here. I did get some So Retro grease. This is actual grease that we'll use for the motor and the grease wicks. So once again, use the right stuff. Don't go and just grab EP2 or anything else because you don't know how it will react. This is a replacement plug, because had I had the receptacle, I would have got the wiring and rewired it myself. I didn't have this, so I went ahead and bought it. And what you're seeing here is you'll have one end that goes to a 2-prong plug. That is right, 2-prong, no grounding on this. And there will be another wire that comes out that has the forked connectors here. And these go to the foot pedal. Now, I was starting to mention this before. The interesting thing with the foot pedal is in the case, so I got to orient it to myself here real fast. So sewing machine sitting like this in its cabinet. This pedal sits on the inside of the cabinet and slides into a holder on the side of the cabinet. And down at the bottom of the cabinet, there's a lever that you can pull out. And then with the side of your knee, so while you're sitting at the sewing machine sewing, you're using your knee up against that lever, just moving it to the right to depress this button. So you can either take it out and put it on the ground and use your foot, or you could use your knee to actuate the button as it sits inside the cabinet, which I think is pretty cool. The cabinet itself is in bad shape. I will post some pictures later on. I wanted to get this out tonight. I'm going to go and take all the fixtures I can. By fixtures, I mean all of the hardware that I can off the cabinet and bag it up, because it's going to have to be cleaned separately. And that will give Mrs. Dragon the opportunity to go in and clean, well, not clean, but we're going to have to refinish at the very least the top surfaces of the cabinet, right? So yeah, this is that cable. I'm not going to take it all apart just yet, but like I said, 2-prong to the wall. This plugs into the side here, and you'll have one feed that goes down to the pedal, one that goes up to the motor and to the light, and the other one is the neutral. And then the light can be separately switched up here with this light. And all of this stuff here is Bakelite. So it's a plastic, right? But yeah, it's Bakelite. So I'm going to have to pop this out and redo all the wiring in here, because I'm pretty sure all of this wiring is, at least the insulation is toast. So I'm going to have to redo that. And so we got a few things already that I knew that we were going to need. And as I start digging in, I'll figure out, is there a bolt that strips? Do I shear a head off of a bolt? You know, that type of thing. And we'll get that. The other thing that I made sure to pick up, because we didn't have it, this is the instructions for using the Singer sewing machine model 1591. Obviously brand new, but a recreation of the exact manual, and the adjuster's manual. This basically tells you how to tear everything apart and put it back together. So it's for the 1591, but it also works for the 1580, 89, and 90 models. So I thought it was really good to have sets of these. I've got online sets as well, but I wanted to make sure that I had these so we can keep them with the sewing machine, as this is probably going to be an heirloom that lives on. We got a few things in here. I figured we might need some bobbins. So this is a little different of a sewing machine for those of you that sew or know much about sewing machines. Your So interesting in the point of you would be able to set your spool of thread here, and this mechanism up here is your bobbin spooler. So you would set your bobbin up here, get your string coming up and on it, and you would set it down, and this rubber wheel would engage this. You would disengage, in essence, the shaft that comes through here by moving this to an adjustment point, and the motor, as it spins, will fill the thread on the bobbin, and when it reaches the end, it will automatically pop up so that you don't overfill the bobbin. Then the bobbin gets added down here, and the thread comes up through the bottom. Now, the reason I bought bobbins, these are different size bobbins than normal. So I went ahead and bought some. It was like $1 for 8 of them. So we got some new brushes for the motor. Once again, it is a potted brushed motor. So God only knows what we're going to find. So I figured getting some new brushes probably wouldn't be a bad idea. This is a new wheel because this thing is busted up. It's crud. You can tell the color difference. I got a new peg if I needed one for either one of these. And this is a red felt pad. So these are felt pads, and they're designed to protect the top of the sewing machine or the base of the sewing machine down here, because the old spools weren't paper or cardboard. They were actual wood spools. So wood circling on here as the machine's being used will damage the paint, right? You have your moms like this in your garage. Yes. And I think my parents have an old, at least the cabinet for a Singer that has like drawers on either side and stuff. So we got this. These are wicks. You go, wicks on a sewing machine? Yes. In the motor, there's a spot to add in wicks, and you will load these up with grease. And this will grease the motor as it's being run. The grease will just kind of soak through. So what you would do, pop off an access and just add more grease, and then close up the access port again. That keeps the grease, everything greased, and keeps things from running out. So I can't wait to see what the existing ones look like in there. These are 3 little Bakelite caps. These are screw down terminals. They're going to be used to attach the wiring on the back side of these terminal lugs. So we're going to take this off. We're going to undo the previous wiring. We're going to clean some things up, right? And then we will reapply, or we'll rewire things, and we'll make sure to use new copper washers and new Bakelite terminals, because I'm pretty sure the ones in there are probably cracked and not as good as they can be. This is the grommet for the wires that come down here into the bottom of the motor. So I may have to get some different grommets as well, but there's a grommet as things come into the bottom of the motor. You can see this wire's had electrical tape added to it. It's probably junk. But yeah, just a lot of cleaning that's going to need to go on. And this looks like this top cover is cracked. I'll have to see if I can get a new shade. If not, I'll leave it, because this is a cast piece. Okay. And like I said, as I start to tear this down, I will most likely find more stuff that it would make more sense just to replace than to try and clean up. And as I come across that, I'll just start making a list so that we can, make this a good repair. Everything that I've bought so far that I've showed you was like $100, right? Which I think $100 to bring back a family heirloom like this is well worth the money spent. And I would consider throwing even more at it to bring it back and to see it used again. Like what I would love to do is get this back in shape. And oh God, I wish I could explain to you the amount of crud that's coming off of this and the heft of this thing. I'm going to move my cup. Because the other thing is this motor, when it's doing its working over here, it has some stuff going through here to do the top end, but there's, you know, the bobbin and stuff has to spin underneath at the base. So let me figure out how to pick this up. And there's the mechanical workings of the base and how things come forward to spin around the bobbin and stuff. And once again, you can see just how dirty and dusty and grimy and nasty this is. And it's nasty because all of this lint is caked on with sewing machine oil because all of this has to get lubricated, right? So all of this, we're going to do a full top and bottom tear down on this and try and revive this and bring it back into working order. Yeah, this is cast. This is oh, I wish either Bexy or Free Heathen were in here. But it's cast. It's not iron, but it's kind of like a mild steel. But it's an old term for steel. But yeah, this is what we're going to start the tear down of on Saturday. And as we tear things down, like I said, I'm going to go through and bag things up individually. So I know like, hey, this is the tensioning arm and the front plate. This is all the bobbin stuff. This is the, you know, bobbin rewinder and stuff like that. So I can keep all of the materials together. And once again, anything that is full metal, chromed or otherwise, we will use IPA, we can use vinegar, we can use a lot of things to try and clean up this shiny metal and bring it back. And that includes things like if we see that there's actual rust, right? We can, if we need to, and it's truly rust and it's not just caked on oil sludge, then we'll go get some emery cloth and we'll clean it up with some emery cloth or some fine grit sandpaper, right? But only on the bare metal. Do not take any sandpaper or solvents to this lacquer paint. You will strip that lacquer straight off. And I'll be wearing gloves the next time. And because we're going to need to get in here to rewire, I'm going to get into this. And I don't think I need to replace the rubber feet on here because I'm not sure if it was used very much on the ground. I think it was primarily just in the cabinet. Seeing as how this doesn't have much crud on it, this does, and it would sit in the cabinet this way. So this is telling me this sat in the cabinet just positionally where I'm finding the most amount of crud. This is a Singer motor, sewing motor controller, voltage 95 to 145, 0.7 amp, part number 194588. So we do have some plates on there. This motor, I think after I take this motor cover off, there may be a motor plate on the motor itself, but I'm not sure. That would be a good find for me. I'm going to take a lot of pictures. You're going to see me grabbing the phone and taking a lot of pictures just so we could document how bad it was and then how nice it is when we're done. So yeah. And meanwhile, as we've been talking about this, I do want to raise up. Neither one of these has popped off. So we've got our first successful, this is a copy print. Like I said, I slowed things down a lot from the defaults. I cleaned the bed very well with Dawn Power Wash, both sides. And I put a little bit of Vision Miner on the textured build plate. Other than that, then I let everything, like I heated the bed up to 60. I heated both tool heads up to 150 and let them sit there for a while to heat soak. Then I ran the home and the Z-tilt. And I think that might have helped because, you know, things change when you heat them up, right? The distances and tolerances change. So by letting it heat up, I think that helped. And then the Vision Miner is really helping a lot. Once again, you'll see at the top of this right one over here, you see it keep flashing. What's happening is it's triggering tangle detection in that smart sensor. I will say for the RatRig, the better solution would be the original Orbiter 2 sensor, because it triggered when it went in. You had the button to push to automatically run the macro to unload the filament, and it triggered on filament runout. This new sensor that's in both of these tool heads also triggers on tangle, which in the inlet head, there's a little spring. And so what's happening on the one on the right is as the filament's getting pulled through a meter long or more filament path, it's got enough tension in it, even though I swapped the 2.0 inner diameter tube that came with RatRig. I pulled that out and I've swapped both sides out for 3mm inside diameter reverse Bowden tube, and there's still so much tension in the tube that it's triggering filament detection on the right head. So I've had to comment that out. If I don't, this would pause about 2 seconds into selling it to resume. So that's one of the downsides, is you just need to configure to get rid of that, just due to the fact of the length of the PTFE tube. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to do tonight, was chit chat, hang out, chill out. I did not want to start taking this apart tonight on stream because I promised I would start Saturday. I posted about this, and there's quite a few people that have said they were interested in seeing this. So I hope everybody's interested in seeing this. It's something new. It's not a 3D printer. Don't worry, we'll have a 3D printer or 5 going behind us while we're working on this, because we're doing some projects like, wow, I don't even know how to get that stuff out. So let me see if I can just do this. Really? Come on, there we go. Play nicely, come up. There's the initial parts, the lower drive parts for Mrs. Dragon's Death Racer. It's printed in Polymaker Black Pet G. So we're going to start building this on stream and at least getting the base done while, we'll say, some design work is being done on the upper parts. So we'll start getting that put together. Evil Diesel is printing out and doing the build for the KB3D Death Racer. I've got to start printing the parts and need to order the parts for the KB3D Drag Racer. And yeah. Also, for those of you that don't remember, this past Saturday, I didn't stream. I didn't stream because I was helping Ecovate 3D, which is a local company, move. They were moving from a 400 square foot so 400 square feet in 2 rooms. It was basically an old, looked like a house or a storefront that had multiple little maker shops in it, right? And where they moved into is now a 3,300 square foot storefront in a strip mall that was going to be I believe, a Great Clips. And let's just say they didn't pull permits for certain things and they got kicked out before they even opened. So Ecovate got the lease on the space and they moved in. I helped move everything from point A to point B. They're still doing their build out while they're open. And once again, this is the store that the Boron 2.4, the LDO kit, will be going to, as well as an LDO box turtle, because they now have distribution deals with LDO. Bamboo, Polymaker, Cookie CAD, they're a Prusa reseller. They are the only US Prusa reseller, I believe, at this time that's not owned by Prusa, aka not printed solid. And they actually had to send some of their people up to printed solid to get training or repair work so that they can repair the Prusas that they're selling. So with this space, they're going to be doing classes. She's trying to think about ways of doing like maybe a week-long summer camp, where if they can get enough donated printers, they will have kids work on, like, I'll go in and we'll do a printer build or something, or we'll do we'll either do a printer build or we'll do a printer rehab type project. And if they can get the printer working, they get to take it home with them, right? So there's some things like that they're trying to work on. She really wants to have influencers like me and others in the area come in. So you may see some streams from Ecovate in the future. It may be me doing a build and having people there watching. I don't know. But we're going to do some streams like that. We're going to do some content like that. Buy local, help small businesses. I am now a small business myself. I wanted to get a Prusa Core 1. She's getting that on order for me, and I'm going to buy it through her. No cost. I mean, everything flows right through to me, but it's sales on her books, which will help her out. I may have also, Mrs. Dragon's on a stream. Eagle, keep your mouth shut. I may have also brought home a project from her that we'll put together on here. Don't know what I'm going to do with it just yet, but I'm sure I'll find something to do with it. But they're going to have like a big, huge display for Polymaker, one for LDO, one for Prusa, and so on and so forth around. They're going to become a distributor for, well, they distribute Greengate to include pellets. So if you want pellets, she'll be able to get raw virgin and I believe recycled PETG pellets from Greengate. There's a new deal that she's working on. I cannot remember the name of the place, but it's a company out of, I think, Spain, and she's going to be their initial stateside distributor for filaments, and they're going to have some good filaments, like some highly conductive filaments and things like that. So I'm really excited about that. And, you know, it's close to work. And with where I work, I have time to give hours. So if I schedule things appropriately, I can go over and like volunteer to teach classes or do some of the things there, and my company basically pays for my time. So that'll be pretty cool. So other than that, how's everybody doing? Chris, how's the new shop going? How are things in the new shop as far as the KB3D side? Pretty sure the Porsche side is doing good based on the cars that I saw there the last time. Hey, Chewy. Okay, so that was Starship 8, right? And this isn't actually a payload launch, right? This is still systems testing up to higher altitudes and recovery and stuff. Yeah, I'm seeing all the new products come in. I've been wanting to talk. So if you can, Chris, too, help me remind Breezy. He was on the stream a couple of weeks ago and mentioned that he needs to get me panels for Blackstack, right? So I need some panels for Blackstack, and I also threw out there that it would be great if I could get a Frax kit. Yeah, you know, if the panels come with a Frax kit, then I'll build it on stream, and I'll be like, hey, cool. Other known projects coming. We had the Anycubic that we just finished. We had the RatRig that we've got success with finally. The new box of stuff that I got from Ecovate. We've got the Trident 350 Upgrade Series that's going to come out. That's going to be basically tearing down the gantry and rebuilding it with a Cyborg CNC parts kit, 9mm belts, a takeoff tool head with a tube hot end. So that's got to go. How's the Anycubic holding up? Good question. And people have asked me that on stream. Believe it or not, those YouTube, the streams that I posted over to YouTube have gotten a lot of good views. And I'm starting to get comments, and specifically about the ACE unit and stuff like that. Oh, excuse me. When we started this, I had to clear off the space right here so I could lay things out to work on this. So it's been sitting downstairs, and I can't run it downstairs in the dining room because, well, right now it's sitting on top of the box that the E-Dry came in, and it's not a stable surface. So I need to bring it back in here, or when I bring the 350 up here, it can sit where the 350 sits, and I can start printing with it down there. But I need to be printing with it some more. Right now, I've been feeding everything to it through the Ace Pro. The only issues I have had with the Ace Pro so far has been filament breaking in the tubes, which has nothing to do with the Ace Pro, and everything to do with the fact that that filament has been sitting out in open air for months and just probably needs to be dried, right? If you're barely moving your filament and it's breaking off in your hand, it probably needs to be dried. Dry it. Especially if you're going to run it through a long bone tube complicated system. If you're putting it on a spool holder and almost running it like down direct into a machine, dude, go. Right? Pop it in and go. Dry it if you're getting a bunch of stringing. But if it gets brittle like that, throw it in the dryer for a little bit. One of the other things with Ecovate is because they're getting all the polymaker. She was telling me she's got like 170 new polymaker colors coming. They've got EPAX filament and stuff like that. I've already told her, I was like, if you need stuff printed for, you know, like displays so that you can show off all the colors, let me know if because I believe she said Polymaker was going to be reaching out to people in the area to see if they can print the stuff for them. I was like, give them my name. Hell, if you need to, I'll move printers down to your place and you can print it there if you want. I can print it here. I don't care. I go into the office at least once a week, and if she has internet, I'll go sit there and work while I work. I don't know. But I have printers, I can print, right? So we're gonna try and print some of the you know, not swatches, but you do a swatch, it's like yay. Especially if you do like a rainbow, you need to have something that will, right? You need to have something large enough to show the transitions, right? So something like this would be awesome, right? Of course, get approval from the model designer, say, can I use it? And then you print things like this and show it off. Now, I wouldn't be selling things like this because if I remember right, this is not under a commercial license, or it wasn't provided under, the STL wasn't out there under printables as a commercial license. Now you can talk to the person and say, hey, this is great. I would love to be able to sell this model. And they can either say, hey, I've got a Patreon, join that. And you can, you know, maybe they have another platform where you can buy these and then get a commercial license. Maybe they'll give you a one-off license. Maybe they'll say just no. That's fine too. But if you don't ask, the answer is always no if you don't ask. Or you just say the heck with it, you go ahead and do it, then you get caught, and now somebody comes after you, right? You got legal troubles. So do the right thing. If it says non-commercial use, reach out and ask. All they can do is say no. You start off with no. If you ask, maybe you get a yes. Or maybe you sit there and you sign a deal and you say, hey, I'll give you X percentage of my sales. You know, that works too. You love printing out Polymaker scientists. Exactly. Right? So if they've got, you know, Polymaker, it may be the Polymaker scientists and their new stuff. Hey, give it to me. Starship blew up again. Booster was caught. Well, was it blown up on purpose? Because if I remember right, one of the last ones was blown up on purpose, rather than have the mass come down in one big thing. Yeah, a lot of time you get a yeah. And welcome on in, Sandoval for Christian. Welcome on in. Not on purpose. Okay. Well, and here's the thing, Timor. It's data. And I know the way, you know, I've heard Elon talk about it and others in SpaceX talk about it. It's just like everything else. You don't have, it's all theory until you shoot it off. And then when you shoot it off, you get data. And you always get better data, from failures than from successes. You learn more from your failures than your success, right? Hey, it went up 5 times. It's successful, great. Let's put people on it. Then it blows up. Now it's worse, right? And then when you find out and you start going through and you say, oh, you know, it was this and it just didn't fail, or it may have failed, but it didn't fail at a critical point and we didn't catch it, right? I mean, failures aren't bad. It's just, it's what happens. Right? The other day on stream, we lost power 3 times and I just stopped rebooting the stream. And what it caused me to do is say, okay, what is going on? Why do I keep tripping? I've turned everything off except the streaming computer, those 2 lights, the lights in the room, and that printer. What's going on? And I took the cover off and started looking, and I realized that one of the grounds had started to squirt out. Now, I really don't like the fact that on this RatRig right now, in the IDEX configuration, I've got 8 of the 9 posts on the power supply. So let me go and do some visual representation here, right? We got 9 posts. 3 are DC positive, 3 are DC negative, and then you've got ground, neutral, and live. 8 of the 9 posts have at least 2 fork connectors on it. So I will be adding Wagos to this so that I can go down to a single fork connector on these, going into a Wago and getting rid of doubled up fork connectors on here, because the chance of those working loose, especially on a printer that vibrates the way this can when you run it at speed, that's bad. That's bad, right? So I'm going to do that. I have not, surprisingly, seen a lot of people talk about doing that in the forums yet. Maybe I'm just not asking or searching with the right term, but yeah, I don't like that. I really don't like the fact that I'm going to have to figure out how to pull this back out so I can get in there and play with wiring again, but neither here nor there. But come on. Fine, you stay there for the time being. The other thing, and I'm going to start doing this soon, is Ecovate is working with a local person that is recycling PLA and PETG. So I'm going to personally build a recycling bin and start sifting out and collecting all my straight PLA and all my straight PETG. I'll double check with her to see, or maybe I'll reach out to the guy himself and see if he's good with like PETG carbon fiber or glass filled or any of that, or if he just wants it to stay PLA variants and PETG variants, and I'm fine with that. But I'm going to set those down. We get these to the same. And amazingly, the ringing that we saw in one of the last prints is gone. And I am trying to angle it to get the, here, let me go this way. So we've got a silver, well, it's not gone, but there is a little, see, you can see that one ringing line there, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. I guess you can see it more on the blue one there. Maybe it is as bad as it was. I was just not seeing it because, you know, I am going with some pretty harsh lighting on it by holding it at this angle and catching the light. Looking at this straight on, you're not seeing those ringing lines. It's only when I do this and catch that harsh light that you're seeing it in the cookie cad blue. But if I hold this straight on, you're not seeing those. Going under harsh lighting conditions. The tops look beautiful. Beautiful, well extruded, not over extruded, not under extruded. The bottoms as well look beautiful as well on both. We're going to do the tolerance test. A little tight. A little tight. I'm not going to try and dig into my nails there. Okay, this one's going in real easy. So this one we're really good on. That went in real easy. This one's a little bit tighter. like a lot bit tighter, but not bad. Hey, Zombie, how's it going? Come on. All right. But yeah, we just got our first successful mirror print going, or not mirror, but copy print done on here. We kept having failures with the right side, and what I did was I took it out and washed the bed with Dawn Power Wash to make sure that it was nice and clean, and then put a little bit of, just a little bit of Vision Miner on it. Boom. I warmed everything up. I warmed the bed up to 60, and I warmed the nozzles up to 150. Let them set for a little bit, then went through home, Z-tilt, and then ran the print, and it came out beautifully. So with that being done, we definitely have plenty of filament there. Let's try something different. And oh, Zombie, if you're on here, does that mean Pez's stream's done for the day? So what I'm going to do is, this completed, I'm not going to change any of the speeds, because once again, we toned it down. We wanted success, then we'll start raising it back up. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't able to get on her stream earlier because of work and work meetings and fallout from yesterday's meetings. But I did pop in right before stream and was like, oh, that's right, you're streaming. And I said, happy birthday. I don't know if she saw it or not, but yeah. So what we're going to do is, keeping everything the same here, I'm going to come in here, downloads, and we're going to grab the RatRig Punk Filament mascot. And because I want to, I'm going to turn him around so he's kind of facing us instead of facing away from us. So this is the RatRig Punk Fill mascot. Got the RatRig logo here on the back, RatRig logo down in the middle. He's doing this little like, yeah, rockin' dude. He's a punk rocker. So yeah, cute little guy there. Let me recenter him. That's going to be kind of crucial. We're going to go ahead and slice. It's probably going to complain as floating regions, please reorient. I believe this is supposed to be able to print without supports. That jawline, let me squeeze in here. Teeth will support each other. It's the underside of that jawline. We may get some mini Joel crotch there, but I think we're good. I think this is designed to print without supports, and we're gonna give it a shot. So Zombie, while you're here, yes, there was a warning after slicing the model. I understand that. I also understand I don't care. I'm gonna send it and we're gonna see what we get. So $150. I'm going to let the hot ends heat up, and then I'll go back and heat the bed up. So Zombie, here's the project we're working on Saturday. We're going to start tearing this down. This is well, based on the serial number, this batch of serial numbers was issued in December 1949. And based on how close this is to the front of that stack that was valid between December 1949 and the next batch came out March of 1950, this is either December 49 or January 50, right? So this is a Singer model 1591. It is an electric motor, so we will have, I had to buy a whole new power plug because this was missing. This is the potted brushed motor. So I've got new brushes for it. I've got some new rubber components for it because this is completely trashed. This is an automatic bobbin winder. You would stick your bobbin material here, get it started, slip your bobbin on, push it down. There are detents in the back side of this. It's all gunked up right now. You would adjust it, and basically what that does is it stops the motion going down to the front head of the sewing machine, and it's just running this wheel, which would turn this wheel if this is about to just break. I've got a replacement here, and it will spin that bobbin, and once it gets, this is going to ride on that bobbin material, and once it gets to a certain point, it auto disengages. Your bobbin's now full, and you can load your bobbin over here. Your true material comes up here for your sewing, comes down and gets wrapped around and everything. But this is black lacquer. You can see there's some decaled gilding that went all along the front here, and it's gone. This is just normal wear. So it would be a couple of coats of black lacquer over the casting. They would put down the decals and then some clear coat lacquer. And so what we're seeing here where it's all dingy, this is dust, lint, sewing machine oil, all gunked up on here. So any of the lacquer surfaces we're going to clean using sewing machine oil. You don't want to use any solvent. It'll tear it all up and it'll just rip all the decals up and everything. So anything that's black on here, we're going to be cleaning with sewing machine oil. We're going to tear it all down, all the inner workings, all of the inner workings up in here and stuff, we're going to pull out. We will clean. We can use solvents on this stuff once we get it off the machine. So we're cleaning it with solvents away from this. We're going to replace all of the wiring. This is the foot pedal. And interestingly enough, so say this is sitting in the cabinet. Your foot pedal, there's a cradle on the inside of the cabinet where this foot pedal is stowed. There will be a lever that you can rotate forward and use the right side of your knee to basically push on this so you can run the motor with your knee while you're sitting down. Or you can take this out, set it on the ground, and push down on it. And this is a rheostat button. So basically it's a potentiometer in push form, right? But all of this wiring is getting replaced. I've got a new cord. It's a double cord that plugs in, goes to the wall outlet, and also comes down here because look at this. This is just bending, like right there, we're good. This area right here, we're crunchy. I mean, this is like dried filament. It's just crunchy and coming apart. So this all the wiring has to be replaced, right? But I mean, this is 1940s, late 40s, early 50s. And it's been loved on. This is Mrs. Dragon and Eagle the Dragon's grandmother's sewing machine. This is one of the things we brought back from Remurf last year when we brought the moving truck back. The whole reason why we flew out and then drove 24 hours straight back, 27 hours straight back, was to bring like this and the, like I've got a we haven't figured out the date yet, but it's an early console stereo, like the big thing with a record player on one side, the whole 9 yards. So we're going to work on getting that cleaned up as well. Had an old Sesame Street record in it and stuff. Isn't that mineral oil? What do you mean, Chewy? So we've got some things already. So we got some new bobbins. This model takes a specific type of bobbin because the bobbin's loaded in the front down here. So I did go ahead and get some just to make sure I had the correct ones and I didn't damage this in trying to use it. We got a grommet for the motor wire housing. These are replacement copper washers and Bakelite thumb screws for the wiring in this portion. So we'll take this off, we'll redo the wiring in here that goes up to the motor and the light. And then the other plug we know we have brand new. It's a potted brushed motor, so here's some brushes for that motor. These are grease wicks. So in this motor, there's 2 spots here that, as we're working on it, we'll be cleaning out the old wicks and the old pack grease that's in here. We'll clean the whole thing up. We will put in new wicks and apply new grease. We've got So Retro sewing machine oil and Singer specific grease for that. Again, we're trying to revive it and keep it in good order. There's the new cable for the wall to the foot pedal. I also picked up new versions of the user's manual and the adjuster's manual, which is basically the service manual. So this basically tells you how to maintain and tear this down and do maintenance and all that good stuff. And all the part numbers for everything. So if you need to go get it, you can do searches for the part numbers. The plan is going to be to clean everything up and bring it back to working order without I'll say modernizing it or making it any worse. Right? I want to clean it up, but I want to keep like the patina here. I'm not going to do a full tear down and like repainting and all that. Some people will do that. They will tear them completely down, have them repainted. You can have people come and do painted filigree on it, but that's really expensive, and I prefer to keep it this way. This is also this is a replacement wheel for the bobbin, pen, and a felt pad. So in the old days, the old thread spools were wood. And so you would have to use a felt pad to keep the wood spools from damaging the paint and to help it move gently. So if I pull this felt off and tilt this up, you may be able to see the difference in the paint between shiny right around where that felt pad was and all the greasy gunk that's back here, that's old sewing machine oil. And I can't tell you the rancid smell of all this oil, 70 plus years of oil on this machine. It really does. You can walk past it and all of a sudden you're like, good God, what is that smell? It's the oil and grease in here that's been here probably since it was bought. You still have a few wood spools around? Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for the lurk, zombie. You think it's just mineral oil? It might be. I don't know. But I've got stuff. I mean, all the parts I just showed you, it was like $100. But to me, that's nothing to restore this back to usage and can be handed down to as a family heirloom. Because here's something else, right? This thing, a lot of these were used in the home. The only difference between this being used in a home and this being used in a commercial setting is just that. It's either at somebody's house or it's at a commercial setting. These things are robust. There are guides. I've been reading through the guide. You can do heavy canvas. You can do leather. You could sew like leather belts on this with the right needles. It's got enough juice to sew leather. So that's crazy. And the cabinet, I've got pictures. I just took a bunch of pictures. I'm going to be taking pictures as we tear this down. Like I am really like, so here's the underside, right? The underside of this, the motor is transferring motion to the bobbin that's down here. And all of this is rotating motion, right? And just look at the amount of crap that's caked on here to the casting, right? So we're going to clean all that up. We're going to get it all into good machine working order. This is a little floppy. I've got to fix that. This wire's got electrical tape on it, so it's pretty much trashed. We're going to replace all of this because it's just dry and cracky. This housing top is cracked. I'm going to see if I can get a replacement. If I can, great. If not, we'll keep it the way it is. We'll just have to be very careful with that. I have no idea if the light bulb in here works. There are replacement LED bulbs, and I finally found somebody that has the old style. These are basically, they push and twist. They've got little nubs on the side, so you push it in and then twist, and the nubs lock it in. And you've got these retainer rings on here that are holding these spring clips that hold the glass and the top shade in there. And then this plate right here, you see how dingy that is? You see how dingy this is? They should look as shiny as this. That's what we're going to do, is we're going to be cleaning all this old oil and gunk. And every time I move this thing around, there's like another pile of crap that falls off of this. And yeah, I'll be using gloves and the iFixit kit and about 15 different size screwdrivers. If we go, like, this is a tensioner for a spring that drives this spool. This is locked. I cannot get this. I don't want to grab a pair of pliers on there and try and crank on it. What we're going to do is we're going to put some oil. Any of the screws that seem like they're stuck and can't come out, we're going to put a couple drops of oil and let it sit. I do not want to crank on these screws because I do not want to shear any of these parts, because then I risk doing damage trying to get the screw out. And I don't want to do that. And believe it or not, as hefty as this thing, this is cast, right? This is cast steel or iron. You see there's these two holes right here. There's a hinge with a peg. That peg goes in here, and there's a set screw that gets screwed in tight into that peg. That's the entire hinge mechanism that you will grab down, lift this up. You know, there's a kind of a clamshell. You'll open the top up, and you can see the machine laying down. You'll lift this piece of wood up. You'll grab the machine, rotate it up, put that piece down, and that's what this side rests on. So it's resting on a piece of wood on this side and these two pegs on a hinge with 3 screws in it. That's it. It's crazy. with as heavy as this is and how little is actually holding this thing in there. But I'm going to take all the hardware off of the cabinet, and we're going to try and just sand and refinish the top surfaces of the cabinet. And you'll see what I mean when I post pictures of it on the Discord. It's water damage from cups and everything else sitting all over it. It just needs some love. And if we can get it to match all of the base, great. If not, maybe we just sand and refinish the base as it stands. Maybe we take it all apart, clean, and resand and finish the entire thing, reassemble it, then add this back into it. Hey, thanks for the lurker reprinted. Hey, Bob Ross, how's it going? Kind of like exactly. It's kind of like a blinker bulb that you would see in your cars. Great analogy. Didn't even think about that. Happy pile. Yeah. Happy piles of crap. The amount of stuff that we're going to clean off here, it's just going to be nasty. I'm going to go and get like an entire box of Q-tips, a couple of bags of cotton swabs, because that's what we're going to be using to clean this. We're not going to be using like rags and rubbing on this. We need to be very gentle because this is 70-year-old lacquer. Actually, 75-year-old lacquer, right? We don't want to damage the finish, because if we damage it, the only option we would have is to completely strip it and repaint it. And I'm going to lose all the decals. You cannot get these decals, or at least not very easily. You don't have 15 screwdrivers, but you'll follow along as best you can. Yeah, I've got a couple of regular screwdrivers. The majority of these can be gotten with a regular number 2 or whatever equivalent flathead, but there are some of these where we might need a different size. I've got an iFixit kit down there. We'll go with it. Two pegs in a dream? Yeah. Have I worked on one of these before? No. Never done it. You know how I'm watching it? YouTube videos. I figured out what model it was, and I just searched for that model number, and I'm looking at restoration videos, and there's a couple of people that look a little long in the tooth that have been doing this for a while and are talking about how to care for these. Some of them do full up, like I'll say mint type restorations. Others do restorations to a certain level, like what I'm going to be doing here, which is I don't want to redo any of this paint. I just want to try and recover this paint. And dude, like right here, where I'm rubbing my fingers, I'm feeling a depression in the lacquer. So yeah, there is either a whole buildup of gunk there, or it is gone. Right? The clear coat is completely gone. That's going to be interesting to see. Is it a buildup of gunk, or is it a wear of the machine? Yeah, if somebody, I mean, these were made, like I said, the batch of numbers for this series when they were built in that 3 or 4 month was 50,000 serial numbers for all Model 15s built between December 49 and March of 50. Yes, I have taken this out of the cabinet. I took this out of the cabinet to bring it up here. I'm going to take the rest of the hinges and stuff off the cabinet and everything else that I can, so that I can clean all of that and make sure it's in good working order. And Mrs. Dragon can work on the cabinet base separately. Like she can take it outside in the garage, sand on it and all that good stuff. Where here we're going to be dealing with a lot of bench top tear down, clean up. I may go and see if I can get some of the like absorbent pads that you see a lot of mechanics use when they're working on engines and carburetors and stuff. I might see if I can get a couple of those to put up here, just so I don't destroy my table with all of the oil and grease and stuff. So yeah, I've got some pictures of the base that I took tonight that I will put up. And like I said, the rest, like the main base cabinet is in good shape. It's really just the top surface. So like the top outer surface, it clamshells open, and then that surface needs to be refinished. So if we can refinish it and get it close, great. If not, we may strip down and refinish the base just so it's all one color. But we do have the base cabinet. And I believe my parents, I've got to see if they still had it, had an old Singer base. It was a treadle base. I don't know if it had a sewing machine in it. If they do, I may take that and bring it back here and restore it as well. Because this is pretty cool. It's definitely different for the channel, right? But I think this is something pretty cool, and it shows that we do all this work on new technology with 3D printers and stuff. If we can tackle building a 3D printer, we can tackle restoring something like this. It's a little bit of research, because a lot of people, when they start building 3D printers like this, well, probably not like this as the first one, but you don't know anything about it. You're learning about all the electronics and how to wire it up and how to do software and firmware and all that. This is all mechanical. If you can build a frame and get this mechanically working, not much different here. There's some electrical. There's a lot of doodads and mechanics that work together and they fit together. There's some gears, right? We deal with that over here. So everything that we've done to do one of these and build one of these from scratch, same skills. I may not know exactly how these things go together. That's what YouTube and service manuals are for, right? I'd never taken an engine apart, never worked on an engine, didn't know how to work on an engine. Me, my brother, and my dad, when I was, well, I wasn't too much smaller, but when I was in high school, we took apart and rebuilt the engine of a Ford Escort. After my brother kind of bent the crank and a few other things, downshifting to second gear, doing 80 down the highway, when somebody pulled over in front of him. I mean, that's the story we told Dad. We didn't actually tell him that we were doing 80 in the E lane, and it was a priest in a land yacht, like a big old Lincoln, that pulled out in front of us to stop us from driving down the E lane. But yeah. The markings on the front of the bed is from, yeah. All of this, so this like decal gilding went all the way across and up the side. All of this is gone. This is a little bit still left here, but all of this is just wear. So what I'm looking at doing is getting this cleaned up to figure out how much of this is gunk that's on here, and then how much of it is just the wear that's left. And because I know it's gone through the decal and down into the lacquer itself, I may actually see, like, is there a way of, I think I'm just going to do the oil, but there's a part of me, because of how I feel like there's this divot here. If I can get a lot of this, and this is just built up gunk, and I can get it out and I don't feel that big divot, then I'll be fine. If not, then I may be like, is there a way to re-lacquer this reliably without damaging the underlying black lacquer? See, that's the thing, is this is 70-year-old lacquer. I can't just grab 2025 lacquer and put on here and think that it's not going to have a chemical issue with the old lacquer that's on here, right? That's the other thing. That's what they're talking about, is everything on this machine was formulated chemically to not interact. So the machine oil that was used on this machine was the only thing that Singer knew would not strip the lacquer, or would take so much time to strip the lacquer that it was safe, right? If you use IPA on this, I would probably strip the clear coat and start stripping decals. If you use acetone, it's game over. You're going bare metal, right? Okay, Timor, have a good one. But yeah, I have the base, we have the machine. We're going to do this tear down on Saturday, and we're going to start working on cleaning things up. I think trying to clean the base up and you know the case will give the biggest bang for the buck. You guys will see that and they'll be like, oh great. I think I want to work on trying to tear out the innards and clean that stuff, then come back and clean the base off, and then start reassembling things, because I don't want to go through and clean the base off and then get more crud on it as we're taking everything apart, right? So it's kind of like what I want to do is tear it apart. We will go through and clean up the motor. We'll go through and clean up all the gears as best we can. I don't know if we're going to take everything out. We'll clean up underneath as best we can, and then we'll start putting everything back together after we figure out if we have to buy any more parts. We'll put it back together, and then we'll work on cleaning the base and everything, and then reassemble it. Okay, while we're talking here, 3D printing channel and all, I've got everything has been sitting, like both tool heads have been sitting at 150C for a while. The bed's been up at 55C now on the RatRig over here, right? So everything should be heat soaked to a certain degree. And now I'm going to home it. We'll do a Z tilt now that everything's at temperature, so it'll be closer. And we'll start doing the punk fill mascot, which once again, for those excuse me, those of you that may not have been here, that's this little guy. This is the punk fill mascot. He's got a jacket on with the RatRig logo. We got the RatRig logo down here and the spool that comes up and makes his tail. And he's kind of a little punk rat that's jamming out. And so what we do, the nice thing with the IDEX is you center your object and you slice it. Now, nothing else has changed. We just send that over to the printer. Now at the printer, I home all, I do a Z tilt. If I want to print just one item, or it's too big and I can't print, it takes more than half the width of the bed to print, then you would select IDEX single. And it's only going to use the left tool head. It's going to print whatever color material you have in the left tool head. If you want to print 2 copies in the same exact orientation, you say IDEX copy. And what that does is it flips both of them out and gets them ready, and it's only going to print on 1/2 of the X volume. And they're going to be printing at the same time, so the heads are moving in the same direction. If you wanted to be facing each other in a mirrored situation, you would say IDEX mirror. It still gets them in the same spot, centered on their portion of the bed, but they print in a mirror direction. So they'll come together and then go apart, right? And that's how they do it. The nice thing about that is if you need to print 2 halves of a part that is shaped and then you'll put them together, you can print them at the same time as long as they'll fit on half the bed. So you print both mirror images together, and then you can assemble them without having to reslice. It does it all, either the copy or the mirror. It does that as post-processing when you kick off the print. So right now we homed, we Z-tilted, we did IDEX copy, and you'll see both T0 and T1 are active. Now all we do is we come up here and we would say reprint or select our file. We're going to select our file, say print. And basically what it's doing, you'll see it doing its post-processing stuff. It throws an error about an unsupported slicer version. I am using 2.3.0 Orca Slicer. It's the only version that has the IDEX configurations built in. Right now, the suggestion is to use Prusa Slicer as the only supported slicer. They're working on full support for Orca, which is why I'm having to use a beta version. And I had to go and add a thing to my printer config to let it use that. Otherwise, it would prevent you from using the unsupported slicer version. Okay? So once again, it parks the right-hand side. It does its bed meshing in the area that we're going to use. Right now, it's doing the Z offset using beacon contact, and it checks in the front left, the front right. Now it's going to move back. It's going to heat up the nozzles to print temperature, and then it'll come over and start the print. So pretty cool. And the nice thing is you're printing two things at the same time where you would only normally be able to print one. That's the nice thing with an IDEX, is as long as it fits on the build plate, you're printing two of the things at the same time or twice as many. That means if you've got 4 things in there in a row, it'll print 8 instead at the same time that it would do 4. Right? Where we all know if we try and do 8 over on a normal printer, it takes longer to do all 8. Here it's doing 2 different tool head or 2 different nozzles, tool heads. So you're getting 2 prints in the same amount as doing 1. Right? And once again, for those of you that weren't here earlier, sorry, you see the blinking on the right tool head? That is the filament tangle sensor that's tripping. The left one, for whatever reason, is fine. The right one is extra sensitive. I don't know. It keeps triggering. So I had to basically turn off tangle identification on both of them. Because what's happening is, even though I've gone to 3mm inside diameter tubing, full reverse Bowden tubing, versus the RatRig 2.0 inside diameter that was sent with the kit, the just the filament dragging, and I don't know if it's dragging on the spool holder or dragging through the PTFE tube, keeps causing tangle detection to trip. Tangle detection on the new sensor, there's a spring in the inlet, and if it very small amount, if it pulls with enough tension, it's going to pull the PTFE tube down, which will trigger filament tangle, and it pauses the print. And what was happening is it would pause, I would say resume, and it would go maybe 2 seconds and trip again. So I've had to disable tangle detection in order to get that to go. If you were using the older style orbiter filament sensors, that wouldn't be a problem because there wasn't tangle detection. And in fact, there's a part of me that wants to pull 2 sensors off of, 2 of the older sensors off other printers, put them on here, take these 2 newer sensors and put on the other printers. They should be drop in place. But we're printing, we're getting a good first layer down. We did add some Vision Miner to that, and that was how we got our first successful mirror print. So I'm not going to stay on long enough to let that finish, but we're getting a good first layer. I will keep monitoring this for a while just to make sure that it's not going to break loose after a certain height, and it's a couple hour print. I will go ahead and post that print when it's done. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. The Anycubic Cobra S1, I had to move it downstairs when we were working on this so that I had room on the bench to lay things out and work on this part of the bench and and over here at the same time, doing the IDEX upgrade. So it has not been up and running. I need to set that back up with the ACE and just put some more time on it so that I can get a, I don't want to call it a full review, but to give my opinion on how well the printer works, how well the ACE Pro works compared to like the AMS, the box turtles, and other things that we use here in the Dragon Den. I still have the Elegoo on order, the Elegoo Centauri Carbon. There was a part of me that thought about, hey, Westry One, how's it going? Work tested. Yeah. There was a part of me that was thinking, like, do I really need another printer the size of the X1 Carbon? Do I keep it? Do I not? I think I am keeping it on order. I have reached out to Ecovate 3D, the local company that I helped move last weekend. They're a Prusa reseller, and they're going to be doing some setup and repair work as well. So they've had to send some of their people up to Printed Solid to get trained, and there's opportunities. You may see me streaming from Ecovate 3D once they get everything fully set up and get the classroom set up and stuff like that. I may be doing some streams from their facility. So, sis, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We got the IDEX finally printing. What the key, and you're going to laugh at this. Well, maybe laugh. We actually cut and created a shim. I drilled into I put some drill holes into my surface that I have my laptop sitting on over here to create a 0.1 millimeter shim stock to even out and get the heights of the tool heads closer. And then we still failed to print. And I was getting frustrated. So what did I do? I took the build plate downstairs and I washed both sides of it with Dawn Power Wash. Brought it back up, stuck it up here, let it dry for a little bit. Put some Vision Miner on it, a little bit of brushed on Vision Miner. Heat soak the bed, heat soak the tool heads at 150, the bed at 55. Said home, Z-tilt, print. And it printed 2 cubes at the same time. Now we're going to be printing the Punk Fill mascot for RatRig, which is this cute little fella. His tail becomes the spool base, and he's a little punk rat. So we're going to be printing him out in copy mode. So we'll have one in the Cookie CAD, which is blue, and one in Polymaker silver. Thanks for the follow, QWERTY Carbon 2. Welcome in. Thank you. So we're doing some 3D printing in the background, and we've been talking about our upcoming project that you can see a little bit of right here. This is Eagle the Dragon and Mrs. Dragon's grandmother's Singer sewing machine. This was one of the things that we went and picked up from storage at Rocky Mountain Rep Fest last year with that whole, car engine blowing up and renting a U-Haul and driving back and everything. We picked this up. We finally got around to, okay, what are we going to do with this? Well, I'm not doing a full up restoration. We're doing a cleanup and restoring to working order. So starting Saturday, we're going to start tearing this down. I'm going to bag everything up and label it so I know where to put things back into. I've got a box of some parts already, some rubber parts that are obviously going to need to be replaced. I mean, I don't know. This might actually, yeah, I can't. Oh, oh, there we go. Uh, I think this rubber wheel has seen better days. I don't know. I mean, it looks, it's not usable. We got a new one of these. This is the automated bobbin filler. So you would stick your spool of thread down here. You would bring it up and get it started on your bobbin. Put your bobbin on here. Flip this down, and that would engage the rubber wheel on the side of the motor here, of the big motor wheel here. This end piece, there's a set screw here, but you would be able to grab this, turn this into a different position. It's not happening right now. And there's a cam lock in there that basically disengages the tube that's going across and running the things on the front of the motor. So as the motor spins, it's just filling the bobbin. As the bobbin gets filled up, it starts pushing this up, and once it hits to a certain space, it disengages. So you can disengage, you can turn the motor off, pull the bobbin off, mount the bobbin in the front, bring it up, mount your thread up here, run it through, do the whole thing, and start sewing. That's a cool invention for a December 1940, January 1950 sewing machine, right? This is a model 1591. It's got a brushed potted motor. So, and a light, the whole 9 yards. We're going to be tearing all of it apart. We're going to be cleaning it. We're going to replace any broken parts. We're going to clean all the gunk and grease and get fresh stuff in here. Hey, Tugboat. We're going to be replacing all the rubber stuff. The actual like plug-in wall outlet was missing. We got a new one of those. And also, this is your foot pedal, which would actually mount in the cabinet kind of a little bit underneath to the right of this. And there's a pull-out lever where you could use your knee to push that lever and push the button, or you can slide this out, put it on the floor, and use it as a foot button. This is a rheostat, so the further down you push, the more power you get out of the motor. It's a little gunked up, so we're going to be cleaning that as well. But yeah, we're going to replace all of this wire. This wire is dry, crinkly, and brittle. The insulation is just snapping. So all of this has to get replaced. We're going to replace any parts that we need to. And we're just going to deep clean this and bring it back to life and get it back into working order. And I think the more I look at this, it looks like there's a ridge here. I think this ridge stuff right here this is caked on grime. I think once I clean this up, this will come back to life really nicely. We're going to be using sewing machine oil to clean all the lacquer finish, because that's the only thing guaranteed not to strip off the lacquer any more than it already is worn off. But yeah, this is the next project we're doing on stream. Starting Saturday, we're going to tear this down, and God, this stuff is sticky, gunky, nasty, and it stinks. Because it's like a lot of this is grimed in, worn in sewing machine oil and lint and dust. So it's kind of got a rancid smell to it. So it's going to be fun having it sit up here for the next couple of days. But yeah, so we've got this going on. We're working some stuff with Ecovate 3D, which is a 3D reseller here in Raleigh, North Carolina. They sell ePax, Polymaker, CookieCAD. I think they're getting a deal with New Makers, Greengate, and a couple of other filament companies. They're going to have LDO stuff, so that's why we're taking the 2.4 and the LDO box turtle out there. We're going to have big Polymaker display, Prusa display, bamboo display, all kinds of good stuff. So with that being said, how's everybody doing tonight? I know it was Pesley's big stream, so it's been a little quiet here. And every time, I'm telling you, every time I move this around, let me see if I can zoom in on this. Every time I move this around, more and more crap falls off of it. Like you can see that pile right there. That's crap that is just fallen off the bottom of this as I've moved it around. So that's where I'm saying it needs a healthy cleaning. Been a long week, yes. We had our first like security metrics readout with our new VP yesterday, and the lead up to that was interesting. Trying to get everything tweaked the last minute to do this brief. I briefed my side of the stuff to my leadership, and everybody started freaking out because there was red and yellow on it. It's like, oh, like easy. We went and briefed the VP, and he was like, I'm fine with yellow and red as long as you have a plan to how you're fixing it, because if you were all green, I was going to call bullshit. Like there's no way we're green through everything. And I'm like, common sense, yes. All right. Like I said, I cannot express how bad this stinks, and I got to do this away from it because even IPA would be enough to strip the lacquer on this. And I will say, please do as I say, not as I do. Don't pour IPA in your hand and clean your hands. It's going to dry your hands out, but the tackiness and the stench coming off this is something to be desired. No. It leaves a lot to be desired. But we've got this project that we're going to be working on while I'm working on cleaning up the sewing machine and all of the hinge hardware and stuff that's on the base. Mrs. Dragon's going to be stripping, at the very least, the top covers of the base and refinishing those. Wow, that feels almost human again. Now we will, like I said, we will use some more solventy stuff like IPA. If IPA doesn't work to clean some of the skunk off of the straight metal parts, like non-lacquered metal parts, we'll use some IPA. If I have to, I may use some acetone. If there are pieces in there that have rust in it, we may even have to use some sandpaper or emery cloth to get that rust out to ensure that we've got good, clean movement. But then we will also protect it with a little bit of that sewing machine oil. Just a couple of drops of sewing machine oil, wipe it down. Like you see me do with my rails with my PTFE 3-in-1 lubricant, right? That's basically what we'll be doing, is putting just a thin coat of machine oil on it to keep it from being exposed to the air where it will rust again or corrode. Sterilize you up real good. Exactly. Oh man, I'm out of coffee. I guess I'm gonna have to hydrate with my Digital Dragon 3D water bottle, because we're done drinking out of the Digital Dragon 3D cup or coffee mug. But yeah, we'll be working on this. Thanks for banging out the merch there, Chewy. Like I said, I took some pictures right before stream. Let me see if, whoops, not that, just, yeah. Yeah, so I'm not sure how well this will come out, but like I said, I will post these up on Discord. Let me go to the bench side camera so I don't have to reach. Yeah, merch. Like, somebody was asking if we have the base, and yes, we have the base. But you can see all the all the watermarks and wear and stuff on it. Right? We've got the Singer sewing machine itself in all of its glory. And then there's the main top of the base. The drawer. So this really needs to get cleaned up and refinished. The main base part looks pretty good. And I think if we're only going to try and do the top first, and then if it just looks like night and day, like not even close to matching color-wise, then we'll strip and do the rest of it. Oh. Yay. So if somebody could do a bang KB3D for me. Exclamation point KB3D. No? Okay. I guess you guys, oh, there we go. There we go. Thanks, Chewy. So if you read this, there's a new statement in there that's nice and in bold. You use my affiliate link, KB3D is now providing 5% discount off your entire order. That is something new, right? He just sent that to me today, and all the other affiliates. So all of our other like Zombie and Pezliz and all of us, as part of the new affiliate program, it used to just be that we got some no additional cost to you, but we got a little bit of kickback to help us out as we're buying parts from them and stuff. It's now, they're now giving you all a 5% discount. So the same code will get you a 5% discount on your entire order every time you order. And I'll still get something, back into the Dragon Den to help me buy for parts for upgrading all of my machines and keeping things running. Yeah, I like discounts too. So, we've got the discount with West 3D. We've got the discount with KB3D. I'm still working with ePacks. I'm still working on getting something with ePacks. And I think I got an N there now with Ecovade as well. So I'm working to get some things for you guys. So you just need a hat. Yes, I need to do a hat. I've got to double check. I've been remiss at getting things done because there's been so much going on in the background. But I need to check. Daisy did send me a slightly less colorful logo that I need to see because embroidery, you need 6 colors or less. Otherwise, fourth wall won't let you do the embroidery. And you got to be careful of like shade transitions. So bold colors, no real shady transitions and stuff like that, and you'll be good for embroidery. So, yep. But that's kind of all I've got for tonight, folks. Like I said, I'm happy we've got successful prints going over here. We need to get I'm happy that we're getting successful prints coming over here now on our RatRig for mirror mode. I am looking at this more and so yeah. Looking at these straight on, they look pretty good. As soon as I put them sideways and I get them in that harsher light, you can see it in the blue a little bit easier. We're getting some ringing. So I still need to play with my input shaping a little bit, play with my belts, and just tune this thing in, right? I've also slowed this way down. Let me see. I think X shows it as well. Like straight on, looks good. Start getting at a bit of an angle and you'll see a little bit of ghosting there. That's some ringing. I need to play with it and dial it in. But right now let's get it printing. Let's get it pushing plastic and doing the IDEX-y thing, right? the next thing that I'm going to do is try and do a multicolor, like single object multicolor print. This is Cookie CAD Witch's Brew. It might actually be Witch's Blue. Yes, it's Cookie CAD PLA Witch's Blue. So there's Witch's Brew and Witch's Blue, BLUE. So this is Cookie CAD Witch's Blue. Beautiful. It's got this shimmer that is just amazing. You can get this at Micro Center, and yeah, see there you can see that ringing, and that actually looks a lot like belts. Actually, that looks almost like belt path or belt spacing. So you can get this at Micro Center, because I know that was Shrimp Father it was asking. You can get this at Micro Center. KB3D has Cookie CAD now. Ecovate 3D has Cookie CAD if you're in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. A lot of people are starting to carry it now. And then this is Polymaker Silver, if it will focus. This is Polymaker Silver. You have never used, oh girl, go get you some Cookie CAD. Don't make me send you Cookie CAD. Cookie CAD it's beautiful. I know a lot of people talk about Capricorn, and Capricorn has some very nice filaments as well. Cookie CAD has some really good filaments. And then once again, this is the Celestial Gradient Rainbow that Pez Liz sent me. I like this. I need to print a ton of these out. In fact, I may take this and take it down to Ecovate if I remember the next time I go down there. Okay, she's getting Polymaker. And I might do something even crazier because, well, so Beverly at Ecovate made me a deal that I couldn't pass up, because she basically told me just make an offer and name a price. So Ecovate, like I said, they're now a, Polymaker and all that, filament wise, LDO, Prusa, and Bamboo Lab, right? They're going to start carrying Elegoo, so they're getting the Centauri carbons in. And like I said, they're a Prusa reseller. Prusa reseller, Bamboo reseller. Both of them have asked her to stop carrying a certain vendor, and she has, right? So she had a couple of things still new in box that she needed to get rid of. I might actually grab an Ender 3V2 from her for a project that I'm gonna, if I can, I need to stay on Hector because he promised me a Ender 3, or yeah, the Ender 3 Next Gen or NG kit. And I'll need a donor printer to do that. But yeah, so she made me an offer on, or had me make her an offer on a Creality CR10 V3. I don't know why I did, because it's a 300 by 300 by 400 bed flinger. So we'll be putting that together. Some of my printers are going to be relocated around the house. Like, I need to sell my plane project, and we will use that to offset the cost of doing some reno downstairs in the garage, because I'll need to insulate the rest of the garage and to include the garage door and stuff to make it a usable workspace. And some of these printers will go downstairs in a print farm status. So these will be the ones that we're doing on stream and changing around, stuff like that, the stuff downstairs. will be print farmy, dedicated just busting out prints for various projects. Yeah, you guys know so we're building a Death Racer for KB3D. I've got the parts sitting back here to start the Death Racer for Mrs. Dragon. I'm going to start getting the movement stuff, the tracks and all that stuff printed and built. The upper half is the design half, which Evil Diesel's working on some things with Mrs. Dragon. And as soon as he's done with the design, we'll print that stuff and get that going. That'll be at Rocky Mountain. We need to build another drag racer for KB3D. I just pulled down the bomb again. I need to order all the moving parts for that. See if I have spares. If I don't have spares for mine that I can put to that, then I'll order everything I need to get that built for Rocky Mountain. And then I was looking at the parts for the trike. The parts for the motors and the speed controllers and the gearboxes for the motors is about $400. Not the plastic, that's not the fasteners, the bearings, or anything else. So we're going to see. We may have a trike for Rocky Mountain, we may not. We'll see. We've got a lot of other projects now that it's starting to warm up. If we can get the sustained 17 mile an hour, gusting to 31 mile an hour winds to stop, and not stop because it's raining, then I can start priming some parts. And we're going to get the bolter, the storm bolter, and the chainsaw done and bring that to the shows as well to show off our printing capability. You moved out a lot of printers and gave them away. You only have the A1 Mini Jedi Spidey gave you and your P1S, so haven't been printing as much. Gotcha. Westry, I will reach out to you. You need something to bolster your printing capability for a while. I've got some things. Okay? I know you're in temporary facilities right now. So, this guy's pretty small. I got a Prusa Mini, pretty small. I've got some of the smaller stuff that I can send your way. Or bring up to you, meet you part way, whatever. To help you out there so you can keep printing some things and do stuff like that. So let's chat, sis. I'm not hurting for printers is what I'm saying. Yeah, so project wise, we need to play with the Anycubic some more. We got the Singer sewing machine tear down and restoration to working order. We're not doing like a museum quality display here, right? We're going to keep putting some time on the IDEX. We've got printed projects to do for the show season. I'm going to consider doing the trike. I may consider, well, not consider, we're still working on something else that's in the back of my mind. I'm going to be doing some stuff with Ecovate. They may need some print displays for all of their filament colors. So I will help ramp up their capability. We've got at least one printer that's going to be going over and being on display. We may have like one whole table. Like they've got 4 8-foot tables. And I may move some of these over there to be working display models of what can happen. I may start teaching out of there as well as volunteering and showing off Digital Dragon 3D. She's wanting creators and influencers to have the ability to come and stream from the facility. We've talked about me going out and doing either a building class or a printer maintenance class, some stuff like that. We can chat. Yeah. Your temp facilities keep extending. I bet they do. Your neighbor gave you an A1 Mini 2, bought a P1S for her CA house, and is ordering a second AMS for it. There you go. Yeah, my good buddy, and I say good buddy, he was the best man at me and Mrs. Dragon's wedding. His wife was our photographer. I have watched his kids grow up. They were at the local library. The kids messed around with one of the 3D printers, liked it. He's now mad at me on Facebook and stuff because, yeah, they've got a printer and the kids are loving it, but the printer is going all the time. And he's like, I can't buy filament fast enough. I was like, yes, you can. You make good money. Go buy a bunch of filament. Let the young'uns continue to play and design and tinker and do things. So yeah, so we're working on things like that. We've got, like I said, we've got the CR10S, or excuse me, the CR10 V3 to put together and get going on some projects. We've got the Centauri Carbon that's on order that will ship whenever it ships. And I've been talking, I talked with Beverly, who's the owner of Ecovate 3D, and she is submitting the order for my Prusa Core 1 kit with the filtration system. So I will be getting one of those in, and we'll be building one of those on stream. I may build it here. I may build it there. Don't know. In fact, if she gets some stuff for the shop, maybe I can talk to her and say, hey, if they have it in kit form, get the kit form. I will build it on my stream, either here at the house or there. You know, possibly if it's for their shop, I might want to do it there, you know, throw some Ecovate logoage all over the place. And, you know, building services here, we build, you know, type of thing. Whoa. You've been showing her how to maintain them and work on them if things happen. So wait a minute, Westery. I thought you didn't tinker. It kind of sounds like you're maintaining and tinkering with things. See? We broke you in right, didn't we? You thought you were just going to print cool stuff and show off cool stuff, be like, oh, look what I did. You know, I'm still waiting for a shield to put up back here, by the way. Love you, sis. But yeah, that's the logical progression. You can't have a 3D printer and not be able to work on them. Well, you can, because then you take them to places like Ecovate that can work on them, or you ship them off to, you know, printed solid if it's Prusa, or back to bamboo, or. But if you can undo a couple of screws and take the back off of this and realize these things aren't magic. Right now, I'm not saying, you know, go and break open your microwave and repair your microwave. No. But you should be able to do basic maintenance on these things. You should be able to you know, lubricate things that need to be lubricated, clean off the things that need to be cleaned off. You know, hey, something's sounding different. And start being able to diagnose it and say, do I have an AMS lane going bad? Because I think the first lane over here is doing a lot of squeaking. So I may have an AMS lane that's going bad. So I may need to get some parts to replace that, right? Things wear and tear. There's consumables. It's printer food. Filament isn't the only consumable for this. You know, we all have blocked and blogged nozzles. You have extruders that go bad. You've got bearings and belts that go bad, you know, ETFE tube. So, teasing you, sis. Get it to me when you can. Get it to me when you can. But yeah, that's the whole point of this, is to help people understand, you know, yes, I love building printers. It's awesome. It's everything, I've never built a tool changer. Now we built a tool changer. I've never built an IDEX now, or had an IDEX. Now we've built an IDEX. And I built it, so I understand it. If I had just bought a Prusa XL fully assembled, I wouldn't understand how all of this works, right? If I had bought an IDEX fully assembled, I wouldn't understand how it works. I wouldn't understand why the nozzles have to be I had to put a 0.1 millimeter shim in there, so my nozzles are now 0.03 millimeters difference in height. 0.03, right? And now I'm getting good prints. Before, it was saying I was 0.0, 8 or 0.09, and I couldn't get a good print. And you're like, but I'm running with a 0.3 layer height for the first layer height. Why is it not? I couldn't get a good print. As soon as we put shim material in, and then I cleaned the bed, even with the shim material, we were finally able to print, and we were getting, good height, and then it was breaking free. That was, clean the bed, idiot, right? Same thing with black box here. I'm getting ready to I'm getting ready to start using the black box off stream a lot more for some of the projects that I'm doing, right? There's a reason why I have black box. There's a reason why I have this. There's a reason why I'm considering getting a 500 size of this or a StableBot from Luke's Lab, right? Because of the things that I want to do in the future is not just, let me print parts for a death racer, or let me print, cosplay stuff. It's going to be engineering and larger size parts, and I'm going to need a printer that can do it. Right. So that's why I'm starting to look at some different machines, and we may build them on stream, we may not. I may document the build, but not show it on stream because it's not going to be a consumer level. Not everybody's going to be able to foot the bill on this or have a use case for this. It's cool, right? But do we have a use case for a black box? I don't know, right? This is a step beyond just a multicolor machine that's by point and click like a Bamboo, right? You got the Bamboo. You'll have the Creality with the CFS. You'll have Anycubic with the Ace. You're going to have Elegoo's whatever. I just saw Feder last night unbox the FlashForge. The AM5X or something like that with their 4 filament system where you mount the 4 spools on the side of the printer and they go into a 4 extruder with buffer system, 4 into the 4-into-1 right at the nozzle, right? It's the FlashForge Adventure 5 and whatever. I didn't even know they were coming out with that. Right, the Creality K1 series, you can now add the CFS to. We've got Black Box and the DVD from Big Tree Tech that can go on any clipper thing, right? Sorry, Black Box, Box Turtle. Box Turtle's out now. The VVD I still haven't seen out yet, but it's coming, right? Multicolor is huge. This is multi-material. The black box is multi-material. The IDEX is multi-material. That means you can design parts in such a way that you use different materials to get the right strength and other properties that you need for the engineering design. And you say, well, but ABS and TPU don't attach together. They don't bond. You're right, they don't chemically bond. But you can mechanically do them in such a way that you can print them together and the TPU is captive in the printed part. So it is now you get the strength and the durability and the weather resistance of an ABS or an ASA part with the TPU part that you need for either a live hinge or a tread or something else. You don't have to print them as two separate things and use a mechanical fastener like a bolt and stuff like that to attach them. You can physically print them as one part, right? That opens up things from an engineering perspective. So that's what I think are really cool about things like the black box and the IDEX or a stealth changer, right? You can do the same thing with a stealth changer, but I would say that the stealth changer and the tap changer and that type of stuff, even the one with the SV08, I see more people building those and doing multicolor versus multi-material with them, simply because I'm not seeing those as being robust enough yet to start getting into various engineering materials, if that makes sense, right? Like a stable bot with an IDEX, you're going to be doing, you'll have a heated chamber that you can get up to 60, 70, 80 C and do, long, large polycarbonate or other material parts in, right? You're doing it for material properties at that stage rather than just color. So yeah, that's kind of the thing where I'm interested in doing, is being able to do other types of parts for commercial entities in and around my local area. And maybe things where I can do a cheaper prototype part before they think about going out and investing in like a Stratasys or some other type of system. Because yeah, Stratasys, you can get larger machines and then you're locked down to Stratasys material because they only work with Stratasys material, right? So being able to test something out at a lower cost point at the right size where they can test fit a part and then say, okay, this will work. They either make a mold and then do carbon fiber, fiberglass, something like that. Or if they're going to go with the printed part, once they validate a design, maybe then they say, now going out and getting a $10,000 machine to be able to produce these parts makes sense. Because if they can produce the part and they can sell the part at the right price point, then it would make sense to go and get the right machine to make those parts in a larger quantity, right? Hey, Shenanigans, how's it going? Welcome on in, my friend. Shenanigans, you're another one that would be really interested in this. Because I know you've been doing some stuff with conductive filaments, right? And I believe you've been doing the protopasta conductive filaments. I may have another source for you to try soon. So my local store that I helped move last Saturday, Ecovate 3D, she's getting ready to take on a new vendor that's out of, I think, Spain, that has a lot of conductive materials and stuff. So if you have some design thoughts that we could test out and you don't mind shipping them over to me, what I can do is I'll try and get some of the material properties and samples that Ecovate has, because they sent her a few samples, but she doesn't know what project to try and use them on. So if I can get the properties and stuff, I can work with you and either get it sent out to you, or if you can send me some things to try and do some testing, that would be cool. And I would definitely try and get you some of the product to ship out to you to test out, if that's something you're interested in. I will try and make that connection for you. Okay. Something else that you'll probably be interested in is something that we're going to start on Saturday, and I've alluded to it a bunch, but we've got the IDEX going, right? We've got IDEX printage happening, right? This was the first successful IDEX print. I'm still getting some ringing, some ghosting there I can deal with. But IDEX is working now. And the next thing we're going to start working on is this. So this is a Singer Model 1591 sewing machine. This belongs to Eagle the Dragon and Mrs. Dragon's grandmother. So family heirloom here that I'm going to start breaking down, cleaning, getting the rancid oil and dust smell off of this. I cannot express to you how bad this smells. So we need to get this cleaned off. I'm going to try not to touch it because, yeah. The last time I moved it, this is the pile of stuff that fell off of it. So there's some stuff that needs to be cleaned off of this. We're going to clean this off. We're going to clean it up, get it back into working. It runs like it works, right? Things are going up and down. So the mechanics are working. I can't test and see if the motor works because I didn't have a cable. I've now picked up the cable and a few other things because all of the rubber not so rubbery anymore. Like this is one of the wheels that's used to be able to load up the bobbin. That's not yeah. I could print better TPU parts right now. So based on the serial number, I'm thinking that this is a December 1949 to January 1950 sewing machine. So I've got some parts. We're going to take this all apart on stream. We're going to clean all the metal that we can and brighten it up. Everything that's black lacquer, we're going to clean using sewing machine oil so that we don't tear up the lacquer any and do any more damage. This is all wearage as to why we don't have the pretty filigree going all the way around. That's just worn off with use and age. We're going to clean this up. And while I'm doing this, Mrs. Dragon's going to be working on cleaning up the cabinet that goes with it. And we're going to basically get this back to where it runs and works. And I want to see it work. I want somebody to do something with it. We're going to sew with it somehow. Even if I have to have my mom come over and sew with it, she'll do it. But this is going to be a family heirloom that stays with the family and goes down the line with family. Right? So basically all the things that we do in building 3D printers, we're going to do in this. We're going to document things as we take it apart. It's screws, bits, and bobs that come apart, get greased up, cleaned up, and go back together. It's mechanical, a little bit of electrical. Same thing we do here. The only difference is this is 2024, 25 vintage, and this is 75-year-old vintage. Right? It's a very neat sewing machine, and I did get the user's manual. It's newer copies, of course, but I've got the user's manual and the what do they call it? The adjuster's manual, right? This is basically the service manual. It's a reprint of the service manual, but I've got these that I can send with the machine now when I send it to the next generation in the family that'll get this after us. And I've got a few parts already, you know, basically rubber bushing, or not bush, yeah, rubber bushings, wicks for the grease and oil for the motor. We got some new bobbins, some new Bakelite parts. We got new brushes for the motor because I'm pretty sure those are probably going to be shot. They've probably never ever been used or replaced. We got grease for the motor, sewing machine oil for all the other parts that have to move in contact. We're going to be using sewing machine oil as the cleaning solvent for all of the black lacquer. Everything else that's the chrome plate and just standard metal, we'll use IPA, vinegar, whatever to dissolve and get those. If we find any rust, so far I'm not even seeing any surface rust on, well, maybe there might be some rust in pitting here. And I did get a new pen, so I can replace one of these. But any of the metal parts, if there's rust on it and it's a bare metal part, we'll try and clean it up as best we can. If I need to, I'll get some fine grit sandpaper or some emery cloth to clean some things up. I'm not sure if this is just gunk or if there's some rust in some of this stuff. Things like this screw at the top, I know can screw out. I have tried. I'm not putting a tool on this and cranking on it yet. I'm going to put some sewing machine oil. I might do that here off stream and let some of that sit. Things like this screw at the very front. Like I'm going to put a screwdriver on it and okay, that one right there. Twists real easy. Great. If I come in here like this one right here that has a bunch of discoloring to it, I'm going to try. Okay, that one, wow, that tells me like maybe this isn't as gunked up. So maybe there was a little bit more love to this before it got thrown into storage. You know, some of this, like these adjusters right here, which is the tension for the thread, these are still working. Like these are still moving pretty well on their own. I don't anticipate, yeah, like this thumb screw just came off. This one's stuck though. And I know that there's a spring in here. Once I get this cover plate off, we'll be able to look at this, but I'll have to take all of this off and I'm not prepared to do that. That's going to be Saturday. Once we take this front plate off, we'll get to see a little bit better in here. Just spinning this around. Let me see if I can't bring you guys, let me see if I can't do it this way. Number 2. Yeah, that's not, oh, look at that. I can bring you guys way in. So this is bringing you guys in a little bit more. There's an access hole here that you can get in and start seeing through. And all right, I'm going to gunk my hands up. Let me see if I can't bring you guys in there. Like there's going to be some gunk and cleaning that needs to happen. Same thing, just looking through here at that spring. You see the spring in there. There's going to be, I mean, it still moves, but there's going to be some gunk to free that up. Normally this plate here would swing out. We can't swing it out because we have the light. But this thumb screw, believe it or not, whoops, this thumb screw isn't seized. So if I pull this thumb screw out, this plate should pop off, right? So we'll have to clean and shine this plate up some. This is going to have to get cleaned up. That's just oil, right? That's sewing machine oil, dust, lint, and gunk. It's called use. We'll clean this up, clean it off with IPA or whatever, and then we'll get some like Brasso or other metal polish. Maybe go to the local car part store and get some metal polish and polish this up. You know, put a dress on it. But here's all of our gears, and I'm going to see if I can't. I'm going to move this, and it's going to do crazy things on me, I know. But let me see if I can bring that in. and just show you like some of the gears and gearing and stuff that's in here. Right, like you can see the shiny. This is that lacquer, the shiny lacquer finish right there. Whoops. And then this is just gunk and crap. Like, hey, nice shiny black lacquer, gunk and crap all above it, right? So we're going to be cleaning that up. We're going to get in here and make sure that the motor parts and everything in here are cleaned up. They're not rusty. Get some grease in there and make sure that this is just working better. Get that back there. We'll zoom you back out to a normal. There we go. A little bit better there. Okay. So yeah, this is going to be fun. I'm excited to do this. Yeah, I'm all kinds of excited about the tearing this apart and rebuilding it and recleaning it. It's a lot less complicated than doing like a car engine. And if you have a Chilton's, you can tear just about any car engine apart and rebuild it from a Chilton's manual. I've got the service manual for this. I can tear this apart. I've got videos. It's a lot of cleaning. It's going to be a lot of elbow grease. We're going to be using cotton swabs and cotton balls to clean all this up. It's going to take putting some oil, letting it sit and do its thing, and a lot of elbow grease. I'm probably going to get tennis elbow and tendonitis from it. We're going to get rid of all of this existing wiring because the wiring on the foot pedal here, it's the insulation's chunky, right? The insulation's just breaking apart. It's like brittle filament. You go to bend it and it just breaks, right? So this wiring is garbage. We're going to toss this away. We're going to rewire it. I do have a new wire for this and to the main machine and to the wall. I'm going to have to clean up the connections. We're going to replace this wire with other wire. I think it's 16 or 18 gauge wire. I'll replace this and hopefully this light bulb works. If not, I'll order a new light bulb. And I just want to get this looking and operating again and hand it down to the next generation. I think it's really cool. Hopefully you all do too. And once again, I'm just going to keep pulling up the powder crap that's falling off the bottom of this. Started to loosen that one. That one's already loose. I'm sure that one will come loose. I'm sure all of this. Yep, even these things are loose. Like, yeah, everything here for the most part is loose and isn't seized, so that's good. I was expecting some of this to be seized. Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, this is a 75-year-old machine, and it's still, I mean, it still goes up and functions. Just moving it by hand. It's not seized in any way, shape, or form. The bobbin, so everything underneath is moving as well. Oh, dang it. And now I gotta, yeah, I don't want this anywhere near this lacquer because this IPA will tear this lacquer apart. But right now I'm gonna come over here and wipe my hands down with IPA again because it's just nasty and sticky. I don't know if any of this is like tar. I'm not sure if her grandmother smoked or if anybody in her grandmother's house smoked. Some of this could be tar, nicotine, stuff like that. Some of it could be, a lot of it is machine oil, right? That's how you maintain the lacquer finish, was a thin coat of machine oil. and you'll see there's all types of scratches right here. There was a piece of cloth wrapped around this with a couple of pins in it. This was where people would wrap a bit of cloth around here and make this a makeshift pincushion. So all of this right up here is where needles have been run up against this paint finish. So yeah. But anyhow, that's what we're going to be working on. If I had, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do something just because you guys might get a sneak peek here. I'm going to bust out our sewing machine oil. Highly refined, low viscosity used with vintage, modern, industrial, commercial embroidery and home sewing machines. Keep out of reach of children. It does not say anything about like mineral spirits, so it is an oil. Okay, and there is no seal on the top that would have to be punctured, so that's good. Now, I think this top gets twisted off. Yep, there we go. I just needed to break the pressure on it. This can get twisted on. And now we have a needle dauber for our machine oil. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and it's very cakey right here. I am just going to put a few dabs of oil on there and let it sit there for a couple of minutes while we chat. Pop the little cover back on that. Yeah, so I'm just going to let that sit there while we chat for a little bit. And what we'll do is in a second, or a couple of minutes, we're going to let that sit and soak and hopefully start breaking down, because it feels like deposits of stuff. Like there's a rough edge here. Let me see if I can bring you guys in real fast. So can you see that there's kind of a raised edge here? Like there's something, looks almost like it was spilled. So either this is where there's grime and crap on here, or this area right here is where the clear coat of the shellac has been worn off, and this is grungy clear coat still up here. But there was obviously, this big embroidered pattern. This is a little bit of the pattern that goes around the edge. So this is obviously like a raised edge, but I don't know if this is grime on here, and this is still just clear lacquer coat, or if this is the clear lacquer coat and this has been worn down. So by putting that oil on there, this is going to slowly start soaking in and breaking down this area right here. And I'll be able to take a Kleenex, a soft Kleenex, and wipe this oil down in this area. And you should see this thing, one, shine up, and two, maybe see how much crud we can pull off just in this little area right here. This will kind of give you an idea of what we're going to pull off this case as a whole, and then also how much this shine can come back just by a very light cleaning and a light coating of some machine oil. How's it going, Papa Bear? I hope you're doing well. Once again, Digital Dragon merch out there, Digital Dragon 3D. We got water bottles, we got coffee mugs in light and dark mode in various sizes. We got some shirts out there now. I'm still working on getting hats. We're going to get hats, come hell or high water. Grab a couple of Kleenex. You want to use soft Kleenexes. Do not go get the industrial, like, Lighthouse of the Blind things that are like bleached cardboard paper towels, right? You definitely want soft. I prefer to actually use cotton swabs. So I'm going to go out to the store probably tomorrow and get a bunch of Q-tips so we can get in the crevices and stuff. I'll get a bunch of cotton swabs. I'm going to get some like snack size lunch bags and stuff. So as we're taking things apart, I can label it and be like spool tensioner, front plate, springs and needle stuff. Put all that together so I can clean it in batches as we reinstall it. Once again, this has just been sitting here for a little bit. I'm not going to do much of anything. I'm just going to lightly try and wipe this off and wipe it into this area. Just a gentle motion. I'm going to come over to the front a little bit just because I'm curious. Well, yeah, that is some built up gunk, I think. Much as I'd expect, but like I said, I think this is just going to have to, we'll say, take a bit to rehydrate some. I don't want to try and flake it off. You just want to be very gentle. If it comes off, it comes off. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Kind of just doing a gentle wax on, wax off motion. This really could just be where the lacquer itself has come off in this area, the clear lacquer, and that this is the ridge to the clear lacquer left there. I'm just swirling slowly and gently on that area, and I'm not seeing anything come off. I'm going to kind of go a little bit harder right there on the serial number plate. But yeah, I mean, we're getting some gunk off, and the longer I let that sit on there, the longer it will rehydrate it, and whatever dried on gunk can come off will. And if it's truly lacquer, it will be left there. But just looking at the texture wise of the deposit, like it almost has like a dried leather look to it. So yeah, it's definitely going to need to have that oil sit on there for a little bit just to try and break it down. That oil will be a very slow acting solvent. Like I said, it was expected that the oil would be on the machine, but you can tell just in the area that I did there how shiny that can come back to compared to the rest. Like, see how it's all gunky up here, and right here where I hit it, it's nice and shiny. That's what we're going to try and do. I may drizzle some oil on these back deposits some and just let it sit just to see if overnight and stuff, letting it sit there will help break some of that up. Maybe, actually, maybe not. Maybe I won't. I'll let this stuff sit and I'll wipe it down again in the morning. I won't do it anymore because I want to do it on stream. I want everybody to get to see it. And I've said that we're going to start doing the teardown on Saturday. So I got to keep to my own schedule and stop going and stop it. Yeah, there we go. Meanwhile, in 3D printing news, still doing good. We haven't had a pop off. So get the right adjustment height, get them close. So shenanigans, if you're still here, the right side tool head was about 0.1 millimeter high, sitting higher 0.1 millimeter than the left. I tried doing all the adjustments I couldn't get there, so I went and bought some shim material, and I used a 0.1 millimeter shim material, and basically I printed out a mount, a thin mount piece for the Rapido 2 Ultra High Flow. We actually printed it on the RatRig, just a slight piece. Put the shim material, held it down, drilled the 4 millimeter hole for the middle, then drilled 2.5 millimeters for the other 4, and made a template. Deburred the holes as best I could in flimsy 0.1 millimeter material, and we added that between the carriage mount plate and the hot end itself. So we had to pull the hot end out. We used the PTFE tube to line it up. We got it back in. So now there's still a slight difference, but it's within tolerance when we do our test. And we're now able to print. I did need to go and clean the bed, put a little bit of division miter on it just for insurance, added insurance, right? And we're getting an IDEX copy print with Orca cubes. Now we're doing the punk fill mascot. So I'll take a picture of this as it's getting close to finishing. I will post that up as well. Tag RatRig in it and stuff. But yeah, we've been kind of doing good. And I think this is going to look good. I will definitely reach out to you if you got some ideas. What I need to do is find out from Beverly what material she currently has that she got from said company and what else she's going to get, and see if she can get me some specs so I can get it to you, because I know the expected conductivity is going to make a difference in what you can kind of test stuff you can do. But she wants to be able to have some types of displays that you can show the conductivity of the material when she gets it in. You're trying to figure out that with, oh, that's right, because you've got the, is it, what IDEX do you have? Is it the Anchor Mate or which IDEX? And hey, Down Under Maker, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. So Down Under Maker, the last few streams, we've been working on getting the RatRig IDEX going. As you can see, we're printing in copy mode on the RatRig IDEX. We did Orca cubes to start the stream. Now we're doing the RatRig pump fill mascot, right? I'll go full display here and show you. So this is the little guy that we're doing. It's basically his tail comes down into a spool of filament, right? We've got the little RatRig logo at the top there. The punk fill guy has a vest on with the RatRig logo on the back. He's got his little, rocking stuff. Kind of a cute little mascot dude. So we're printing this guy out we're gonna see if it can make the chin here. We may have a print fail right there at the chin. Maybe some down here. He may have a sagging crotch. We'll see. But that's what we're trying to print. I believe he's supposed to be able to print without supports. And then the next project that we're going to start on Saturday is kind of using the mechanical and electrical stuff that we've built up and experience-wise from doing all of the various printer builds. And we're going to take apart, and we'll call it a resto mod, right? We're going to bring back to life this Singer sewing machine. This is definitely not, it's not like it was left out in the elements. It was properly stored. It was in its cabinet. Things like the tensioner here still work. The spring still seems to function. If I turn the wheel, everything's going up and down like it should, right? The bobbin is moving in the case down here. We just haven't been able to test the motor itself, but we're going to take this all apart. We're going to clean on it. The black lacquer, we're going to take care when we clean it. We're not going to use any major solvents. We did put some sewing machine oil on here, and we just kind of buffed a little bit. And you can see if I tilt this up and get some light on it, you can see kind of where we buffed a bit, and then where we've got some gunk back here that we're going to have to work on cleaning off. But we're going to buff on the lacquer last. We're going to take everything apart. We're going to work on cleaning that up. We're going to make sure that the internals are cleaned and then properly lubed back up with grease or machine oil. And we're going to do right. This is a December 1949, January 1950, based on the serial, Singer model 1591 that belonged to Mrs. Dragon and Eagle the Dragon's grandmother, right? So this is a family heirloom that I'm restoring here. You have one of these in mint condition, amazing. Like right now, this pile right here is about the third pile of stuff that's just fallen off of it as I've been moving it around on the table, right? But I had no like wall cord, so I've ordered the wall cord and the cord that'll go to the machine and then to the foot pedal. A few other things like the grease wick, the bobbin, rubber, which is just gnarly, broken, and useless. We're going to completely rewire it because all of the wire is garbage. So I've got the new wire. I'm going to do that. I've got some bobbins because these use a specific style bobbin. New Bakelite knobs and stuff. New brushes for the motor. So yeah, we're going to try and do this right and get it back to functioning. While I'm working on the machine, tonight I'm going to go down and take all of the hinges off of the case. When I say case, I mean cabinet. So, like, here's the cabinet for it. So as you can see, there's a lot of water damage and other damage and just wear on the top. The lower portion of the cabinet looks to be in decent condition. I only want to try and resurface. You know, this is with the lid closed, so this is really bad. We want to try and resurface this stuff as much as possible. Clean up the drawers best. I mean, I'm not going to clean up that center part. I want it, that's family heirloom stuff, right? Leave that type of stuff. Redo the finish. If we have to, when we redo the finish, if it just looks completely mismatched, then we will go back and strip down and do the whole case. But I'm going to take all the stuff out. The foot pedal here, the way it is, this foot pedal mounts on the side inside the cabinet. and there's a lever mechanism that can swing out. It folds up and it'll swing out like this, and you use your knee to press the button to run the motor. Or you can slide this completely out, put it on the ground, and use your foot. This is a rheostat push button. It's basically a potentiometer that goes in an up and down motion. So we're going to take this completely apart, clean it, because this kind of is sticky a little bit. So we're going to clean that up. Like I said, I've got the new rewiring to rewire this to the motor. We'll do all that, and we're just going to revive it. That's it. It's dry. Needs a little of the right moisture put back into it so that it moves. I mean, this is moving pretty smoothly already. I've seen a lot worse wear and tear on these. You can take pics required. Oh, and the other thing that I did, so I purchased parts from the old Singer shop, right? I've purchased some parts already, and part of what I purchased, because we didn't have these, was reprints of the original Singer. This is instructions for the machine, and the adjuster's manual. This is basically the service manual for the machine. It has all how everything works in the internals. So this should be useful. And I've also downloaded PDF copies as well, so that we can get in and clean all this stuff up. So yeah. I've got proper sewing machine grease. I did go and get, So Retro sewing machine oil as well. So everything's going to be greased and lubed with the appropriate stuff so that we don't damage the lacquer finish on these. They're originally varnished timber. Good to know. Could you print any of the parts? I probably could, but I think that would detract from the value of the sewing machine itself. Like, if I could get the right dimensions, could I print this in a TPU? Yes. It would be better if I printed a mold and molded this out of polyurethane rubber. But I could do that, or I could buy this part, support a small shop for a couple of bucks. So that's what I did. Right. So yeah, we're gonna try and refinish just the top, and if we can't get it to match appropriately, or if we in trying to sand out the stains, if we, I'll say, burn through the veneer, then we'll have to fix that and then stain and revarnish it. But I would assuming that it would be varnished. We have I think 2x6s, 2x4s, stuff like that. We built a table for the kitchen, and because it was supposed to be a kitchen island and you're going to have pots and pans and stuff like that, we did a tung oil finish, because tung oil will soak into the fibers of the wood and seal and protect the wood, but it's also food safe, right? So we've done things like that. We've done varnishes in the past. So it's, we're going to expand our repertoire here. I've never taken a sewing machine apart. Now, I expected things to be frozen a bit. The thumb screw on the back cover opens right off. This thumb screw opens right off, right? This screw here, that one's a little stickier. I might have to work on it. But this one cracks, no problem. like this one with as much gunk and stuff that's on the front of this. I figured this would be seized or stuck. Nope, that backs right off. And I would take that out and take the front plate off, but I have to fully disassemble the tensioner, which I don't want to get into today. Now I know this piece screws out. This is not moving. This is not moving at all. So I may drop some oil in this and let oil sit on this to try and break loose, because I don't want to do any heavy solvents. The motor cover itself, yeah. And this is what I was afraid of. I just barely put some pressure on that, and I just broke that motor cover bolt, because that bolt is plastic. It's Bakelite. So now I might still be able to get into that, but I'm going to have to put some oil in that one and the one underneath and hope that I can get that out without breaking it, because this is Bakelite. These are, some of the bolts on here are Bakelite, right? So that's what we got to be careful of. Now we'll put a little bit of oil on that. We'll put a little bit of oil around the base of this and let it soak down in there. And we'll see if Saturday, if that'll be able to break free. Yeah, that's true. We can warm it up with a soldering iron or a heat gun. That's true too. But these seem to be coming out good. These, yep. Yep, these are all loose. The switch for the light still switches. It still does the clicky thing. I can't tell if the light works because I'm not going to trust this wiring. We'll rewire everything and then we'll test the light. And if I need to, then I'll go get a bulb. This case I might need because there is a crack on this top shroud. But yeah, we'll work through it. We'll tear it down slowly and take our time. If we break things, I'm expecting I will need to order some more parts because I'm breaking things, right? I'm not expecting that I get everything out here or off here without breaking something or having something that's damaged and have to be replaced. So the fact that this just snapped, I'm probably going to juice these with oil to try and loosen those before I try and crank on them. But yeah, this is, I think, going to be a fun project. Yeah, the big thing is making sure that it's a metal bolt and not plastic, because if you throw a heating iron on plastic, you know, that's not going to have the desired effect. But yeah, it's all here, like I said, except for the power cord. I got a replacement power cord already. I'll have to go and get some of the Bakelite screws, and there's some other screws that I may get preemptively. Things like this badge, I may have to do some. I don't want to take it off because I don't want to bust these things and have to repaint it, but I may have to take some type of thing to this to shine this up, to brighten this up, to clean it up some. We'll see what we can pull off with oil, but I'm not going to say like, hey, use a wire wheel on it. Way too close to precious paint. But we may have to do something, maybe come in here with some hand stuff and some emery cloth and a hand or emery cloth around like a Q-tip to try and clean this, buff this up some. We'll have to do something like that. But just be careful. There's too much love and history in this to get ham-handed on it and break a bunch of things or destroy some paint that you cannot get something like, yes, I could strip this all the way down and re-lacquer it. I might be able to find a full set of decals. But then this isn't a family heirloom. This is a restoration. Yeah, a Dremel with a drum polish. And I've got a Dremel 3000. I just need to find it again. It's out in the garage with the plane building stuff. I just need to get it, and that'll be something that we can work on once we get everything torn down. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. You know, I was hoping, I put it out there and said, hey, would anybody be interested in me doing this on stream? And enough of you have replied either in Discord or on X that I'm willing to do this on stream. You know, I think it's good. I think this is going to be a fun one. So yeah, I'm hyping myself up is what I'm doing. But okay, everybody, that's all I have. I do want to jump over and see if Jano is streaming. I know he started streaming last night and was talking about the, what was it? The Anycubic i3 Mega stuff that he was going to do. I wanted to help him on that. I think I understand some of how that wiring is. Let's see if Jano's up and running yet. And if so, we'll jump over to see him. That's the Jang. Cyber Jewels. Hamster. Is Jano not streaming today? Or is he just not come on yet? Does anybody know? 9:15 to 9:20 is okay. Yeah, if he's coming on in a little bit, we'll hang out a little bit until we see him pop on. That does bug me that I did snap that, but that's just life. Just something else I'll have to order. Pez Liz is still going? Is she? I didn't see her on my Twitch feed, and I am definitely following her. She's on via StreamYard, isn't she? I wonder if she's on via StreamYard, and that might be why I didn't see her. Because I know when I checked earlier, she had like 6 or 7 people on with her. Oh, there's Pez Liz. You're done. So tired. There you go. Yeah. Hey, Liz. How's it going? Jano is starting. Yeah, there you go. So, Liz, we've got old and new going on stream. So we've got the RatRig IDEX Printing in mirror mode, right? We printed our Orca cube earlier. We've got Cookie CAD, which is blue, and Polymaker silver. We're printing the RatRig mascot right now in copy mode. And then we've been talking about the Singer sewing machine. And I did snap one of the bolts, I think is a Bakelite or plastic bolt. But we're going to start the teardown of this Singer sewing machine Saturday. Hey, Jedi Spidey, how's it going? Thank you for the 7-month subscription. I appreciate that. 117,802 unique viewers. You hope you didn't say anything bad. Yeah. No, that's cool. I know when I saw that you were still streaming and I popped in right before I started my stream, you had like almost 2,000 viewers on at concurrent. I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. But this is based on the serial number. Looking at this, this is a model 1591. I know it's a model 15 series based on the serial number. The batch of the serial number was granted in December 1949 for 50,000 serials for the Model 15. And the next batch was awarded March 1950. Based on how close this is in the 50,000 range, I'm assuming that this was, or I'm guessing that this was either December 1949, January 1950 was when this was produced. So we're now about 75 years old on this machine, and it works. Like, we're seeing movement at this end. I'm feeling movement at the bobbin underneath. It's motorized, which tells me it's the 19-51 model. It's the only motorized potted brushless motor version of the Model 15. So that tells me what it is. I've been watching some videos on how to tear this down. I will continue to watch videos. Down Under Maker just said that they've got one of these in mint condition. That's they can provide pictures if I need to put it back together. And this was Mrs. Dragon and Eagle the Dragon's grandmother's. So this is family heirloom. What we're doing is going to restore this to solid, good working order mechanically, electrically, and everything. While I'm doing this, Mrs. Dragon's going to get the cabinet cleaned up. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to start tearing this down on Saturday. You know, we'll wind up fixing the floppy light. If the light's burned out, I can't test it just yet because I don't trust any of the wiring. So we will be redoing all the wiring. I've got some parts already. If I need to get some new parts, I'll get new parts. Yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be working on. And I'm curious to see, now that some of this is sat on here a little bit more, I don't know if I can buff any more off. I put a little bit of machine oil. We're going to use machine oil to clean the base up so that we can protect the lacquer and not damage what lacquer is left on here. But yeah, I'm still pulling stuff off. It's not heavily caked, or at least it just needs to sit on there for a bit. I know that most of this stuff is still moving, which is good. Some things like this, and I just broke a Bakelite bowl off here. I'll have to get a new one and work on gently soaking these with some oil and letting some things, but you know, certain things are moving well, right? So it's just cleaning it up and degunking it, putting a nice little bit of oil on there and making it work again. So tired as always, yeah. Looking for something fun to print. Anything? Like right now, what we're printing is the did I close it? No, I didn't. We're doing the Punkville mascot for RatRig. Kind of sitting on some spooled up filament. It's his rat's tail. We've got the RatRig logo down here. He's got his vest on with the RatRig logo, if I can bring him in here. He's got his punk hairdo and he's doing his little rocker stuff. So this is kind of a cute little community-derived mascot guy. We're going to see how he does with the overhang on his junk and his chin. I think it's supposed to be able to print without support, so we're going to see. That's going to be a fun little print for us. And other than that, we're just chatting and chilling. We're just chatting and chilling, waiting for Jano right now to pop on so I can end the stream. So 75-year-old machine. It was obviously cared for. It was obviously used. But the smell of the rancid machine oil on it and the lint and other stuff. It smells. So I'm going to get some oil on some of these things to let it soak into places that seem like they're a little stuck, right? A little bit of penetrating oil. Let it re-moisten some of the gunk and see if it'll help Saturday when we go to take some things apart. If not, we'll use a little bit of heat, as Down Under Maker was suggesting. I will be making a running list of things that we break or supplies that we need to order for things that are just damaged or too worn. I think we're going to be good though. I will have a list of like, oh, I see some surface rust or gunk. Actually, I just wiped off that, so that's not rust. That's just gunky oil. I may need some emery cloth and some things like that to do some things. So I'll get a list and I'll do some shopping tomorrow. I'll start getting some stuff in an online shopping basket for the old Singer shop or the other place that I found that had the correct light bulbs and stuff like that, so that I can order the things that most likely are going to need to be ordered. So that once we get most of this torn down Saturday, we'll know what may have busted or what may need to be ordered, and I can submit an order so that we can get it in. But yeah, but don't worry, we will do some other stuff as well. I do have a CR10 B3, which is a 300 by 300 by 400 machine that we'll build. We'll have the Elegoo Centauri carbon that'll come in whenever it comes in. Oh, I did get in 2 new nozzles and stuff for the Anycubic Cobra S1. As I said, it started making some squeaking noises. That's when I realized that the carbon gray filament from 3DO was not a carbon gray color. It's a gray color with 15% carbon fiber infill. So I got some new, it seems to still be printing fine, but I did get some replacement nozzles because it doesn't come with hardened nozzles. And it doesn't come apparently with hardened extruder gears, I don't think. So yeah, I got some nozzles to be preemptive. I haven't seen extruders available, so I'm going to reach out to them and see if they're going to have replacement extruders for idiots like me that ran carbon fiber through them without realizing that, because there's nothing in the literature that says that it doesn't have hardened extruder gears. I'm just going to assume because it came with a non-hardened nozzle. So I'll have to reach out to them. But yeah, that's kind of everything that we got going on. Let me see, do a refresh over here and see if Jono has started yet. Because I do want to raid out. I do want to put a little bit of oil on some of this and let it soak overnight. And then get out of this room. Like, I may wind up taking my laptop and working downstairs tomorrow just because, yes, this is obviously an aged, acquired taste thing at this point. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'm looking forward to doing this. I'm glad that this is printing. You do not know how happy I am to see this now printing in the IDEX mode. So that's cool. I think next what I will do will be to do the Benchy or something that's a dual color. I do have a Charmander and the Benchy, so we'll do some of that as well. Hey, Hey, Chris, how's it going? 2 years. How's it going, my friend? So, for those of you that are here, if somebody can do a Bang KB3D, KB3D sent an announcement out to me, probably to Pez Liz and Zombie and the other people that have affiliate codes for KB3D. And if you use my affiliate code now, you are now getting 5% off your order, as well as me getting something back for the channel that helps me go and, order parts and stuff. So yes, Chris, thank you. Thank you for that. That is awesome. I went to order another fantastic Death Racer kit and order 2.5 or the 2 to 2.5 upgrade so that I can make sure that I had the same extruders over here on the RatRig. You didn't have them, so I went somewhere else. But hey, yeah. So, oh, you can't see it. The RatRig is now printing in copy mode. You will see that the light at the filament sensor on the right tool head over here keeps blinking. That's the tangle detection. It's triggering all the time, and I don't know why it's doing it on this one and not this one, because they have basically the same PTFE tube long path. I switched up from the 2.0 inside diameter to the 3.0. It was still triggering. So basically I've commented out the tangle detection. But it's working great now. We're doing copy mode tests. So that's a blast. You definitely need a hat in my colors, orange and dark gray black. Okay. Like, you want a printed hat in orange and dark gray? We can do that. But yeah, Chris, thank you for all of the support that you have given us. We keep you near and dear to our heart over here with the KB3D sticker all the time. We always try and keep the black box over here. I did talk to Chris too when he was on here earlier and say that, remind you that we need the panels, and because you offered the panels up for Black Stack. And, if they somehow come with a Frax, that would be killer too. Just saying, throwing it out there. But starting Saturday, we're going to start a cool project, and that is the tear down, cleaning, and rebuild of this Singer sewing machine. This is a Singer model 1591 sewing machine. Based on the serial number, it was most likely made December 1949 to January 1950. We do have the base for it and all the accoutrements and stuff like that, the electric or the pedal and all that good stuff. This is what we picked up at Rocky Mountain last year. Remember, we flew up, we blew the engine in the Kia Soul. Thank you for coming and picking us up on the roadside. And me and Evil Diesel were driving, we'd always planned on driving back with the U-Haul. This is one of the things we picked up. This was Eagle the Dragon and Mrs. Dragon's grandmother's Singer sewing machine, this family heirloom. So we're going to bring this back. It does work. It does move. Nothing seems to be bound. There's a couple of things that seem to be seized on it, but a lot of thumb screws come off. The movement is still working. The motor, I was missing some of the wires. We're going to rewire it. The wiring is kind of crunchy, right? I did break a Bakelite screw off here on the motor, but we're going to bring this back, and we're going to see it run. Well, we, as in the Digital Dragon family, are going to see it run. I don't know if we'll have it running. I may have to take a video and just post a video, but we're going to make this work again, and it's going to continue to live on in the family down the way. So Yeah, it looks like he just went live. Okay, cool. We'll jump over to him shortly. Yeah, 75 years ago. Yeah, it's not that old. And then you start putting and saying, okay, it's 75 years. You go, oh, dear God. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, a singer. Yeah, these were made all over the world. They had something like 80 different plants that made sewing machines throughout the years. Um, you've got a treadle singer in the front, and I know, like, I've got a sewing machine. There's another sewing machine cabinet that is a treadle, meaning it has the big wide cast iron foot pedal that does, you know, with a belt that would run the sewing machine. Um, I've got one of those cabinets. I think it's at my parents'. I need to see if they actually have it and there's a sewing machine in it. Because if so, I'll fix that one up too. You know, I have no problem. I'm excited. Like, I'm getting excited talking about this all day long. Other than the fact that this stinks from, it's well used, and there is a bunch of grime on here, which is sewing machine oil and lint and dust, and yes, that we're going to have to clean off of this thing in a nice way so that we don't destroy this lacquer finish on here. And hopefully we can bring it back and buff it up. Like, there's an area down here that we just put a little bit of sewing machine oil and just buffed on it with a soft Kleenex. And you can see that I'm already breaking some stuff off and taking it off. But if I can rock this forward, okay, see how bright and shiny this is compared to how dull and dingy some of it is, right? This is the area that we put some oil on and just buffed it on a little bit. So I've got to see how much of this, you know, this area right here, this might just be yellowed lacquer clear finish. And this may be where the clear finish has been completely removed. And this is just the black lacquer that I basically buffed with a little bit of machine oil. Or this may be buildup gunk that we might be able to get off. I can't tell yet, right? But we're going to use machine oil and elbow grease with like cotton swabs and soft things. We're not going to scrape on this. We're not going to use solvents. The most solvent thing we'll use on this is sewing machine oil. That's it. You have a white one? I didn't know that they, well, I know that I think 50s to 60s, maybe 70s, they had it was more like an off-white beige, but I think it was still cast. It wasn't plastic. Like, this is cast. There's some heft here. This is not light. But yeah. It's actually green. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That is, we're going to do what we can to refinish the top size of the cabinet, and I'll post pictures in Discord. If we can clean it up and get rid of all the water stains and stuff like that, primarily on the top side of the cabinet, and refinish it, and it matches somewhat close, great. If it looks night and day, then we'll probably just go through and sand down and refinish the whole cabinet, just to make it look, you know, like homogeneous type of thing. That's what I want to do here. Is I want some, you know, I'm not going to try and redo all the decals. I'm going to try and beautify it, but I don't want to, like, the last thing I would want to do is strip all the paint back to bare metal and have it repainted. Because I don't know if you can get these decals anymore. What they would do, based on my research, is they would paint it with a couple of coats of black lacquer. They would install these decals. These are actual decals, not painted filigree, decals. And then they would clear coat lacquer, right? So it's preservation, not restoration, exactly. Family heirloom. We're only going to replace the things that we need to replace that are broken. And the rest of it is just clean up and elbow grease, right? Clean up and elbow grease. But yeah, and like I said, this might be one of those things that I do this one, maybe I get some more. And I'm not saying I'm going to be like a professional restorer or anything like that, but I want, like, that's why I like building printers and stuff, is I'm doing things with my hands and I'm having to think about things and work through problems. That's what I'm going to have to do here, is doing things with my hands, bringing something back to life. So I might do more of these down the road. I don't know. I might do something similar but different, you know, like try and restore something else that I see that's junked out that I think can be repaired, rather than just throw it away and rebuild and go buy something new, you know? Oh yeah. And like the wear marks that are right on here, when we got this, there was a band of cloth around here with a couple of pins holding it in place. And what I found in some of my research was that was old school. People would wrap these around, and these, what you've got here are scratches and nicks in the lacquer, because that was a makeshift pin holder, pin cushion. So that is used wear that I want to keep. I want to highlight that. I want to get rid of the cloth and burn it because of the stench in it, but maybe I do the same type of thing and show that, right? Speaking of Nick shows up. Hey, Nick, how's it going? You know, for pounds. Yeah, for pens. You know, there's these right here are, if I can get them off, these are felt pads, felt washers, right? There's a felt pad right here. You would have a felt pad, put it down there so that you didn't score up the machine. And if I take this off, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see the ring where this felt pad has been on there forever, right? You put the felt pad on, then you put your spool, and you'd sew with it. These spools used to be wood. So if you had a wooden spool on here and you didn't have the felt pad, it would drag, and over time it would just wear the paint finish down to nothing. So that's what all of these are. And I'm not sure if this used to sit here next to the bobbin to protect that, but this mechanism right here is an automatic bobbin filler. So what you would do, put your spool of thread down here, get it started on your bobbin, stick your bobbin here, push this lever down, and this lever now sits on top of the bobbin and the thread that's getting threaded onto the bobbin. And this right here is what this sad excuse for a rubber wheel is. I've got a new one of these, don't worry. And this engages on this wheel. So this wheel, and we'll see this when we take it off, there is a cam on the inside of this wheel. So you hold this, you would knock this, and it disengages the shaft going through the sewing machine. So the motor's still going to run this wheel, and it's going to spin this rubber wheel and load your bobbin. And then as it fills up, this piece will rise up, and then when it gets to the proper spot, you just saw that it will disengage the rubber wheel. Your bobbin's full. Now you can take your bobbin off, load it in this side of the machine, and get it going and sew. So you didn't have to sit here and wind your bobbins by hand, right? I mean, that's cool engineering right there. You know, yeah, there's just so many cool little engineering things in this sewing machine, and let's see if I can't get that in there. 0.7 amp motor, right? This isn't that big of a motor, but you know what? You can sew heavy canvas and leather with this sewing machine. Yeah, this is history. And like I said, this is family, right? So this one's special. This is family. We're going to get this working again, and it's going to continue to go down with the family. I may have my mom come over and test it out because she sews. I don't know if Mrs. Dragon has ever sewn or not, but we will test some of this stuff out. Yeah, happy birthday, you wonderful human. Yes, happy birthday, Pez Liz. I did jump into your stream and say happy birthday. I didn't know if you noticed that or not, but it was right before my stream. I would have been in there earlier today, but yesterday's meetings led to many more meetings today that are going to lead to many more meetings in the coming weeks, which sucks. I would much rather play with things like this. Oh yeah. Hand winding anything sucks. Color swap queen. Yep. Happy birthday. And bet you're exhausted. Yes, she had. How long did you stream, Pez Liz? Because I know you started at 3 Eastern, I think, is when your window. Because today, Pez Liz was front page on Twitch. So, oh yeah, yeah. If you get your hand underneath there, it's gonna put a needle through your fingernail and everything. You missed the whole thing, Chris. I know you were working. You were having to wrench on things. Yeah, when I popped on, there was like 6 people on the stream. So Glendon, Zombie, Keela, and a bunch of other people. So yeah, more fun on Sunday as well. Awesome. Yeah. So Tony, we're going to start this on Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. My plan is probably to tear it down and try and get as much torn apart on Saturday and bagged up and stuff, and then we'll start doing cleaning and things. It's going to take however many streams it takes. I do have other projects, so we're probably not going to work on this like constantly. It may be something that's here on Saturday, and then Tuesday, Thursday, we're working on other stuff. But we'll go for a while. And then yeah. So Chris, Evil Diesel has been printing out the Death Racer for you guys. I just downloaded everything. I need to order all the parts for the drag racer, and I've got a frame lower already printed, which is fine. That's all black. I'll print the body panels and all that good stuff, and we'll start getting that assembled. Mrs. Dragon now wants a Death Racer, so Evil Diesel's doing design for that. Yeah. So fun stuff. We're getting ready to jump over. I'm going to go ahead, set up a. We're going to jump over to Jano, because I believe he is up and running now. So as soon as I see him, I will get the raid started over to Jano. Really? What? Jump out. Look for raids again. People I'm following. There he is. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump over to Jano. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I really do appreciate it. Thanks, everything. Frax, maybe we build one on stream. Exactly. If you send me a Frax and you want to, we'll build a Frax on stream. We'll do a stream of Frax. That's cool. But yeah, let me know. Chris, I may also want to talk to you. One of the ideas that we have, and I'm going to talk to a couple of different people, is possibly a remer is I don't bring as many printers because I'm bringing a bunch of other stuff for everybody. But maybe I build something and that something can get given away at on Sunday. Like maybe I build a box turtle and LDO gives a box turtle away on Sunday that's pre-built. I don't know, right? Mrs. Dragon wanted me to start thinking about things like that versus, especially for shows like Rocky Mountain that's so far away. So, and I'm known for building things. So, but thank you everybody for being here. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with some of the new projects coming to the channel. Chris, thank you for all the support. Pez Liz, you're awesome. You're an amazing human. And thank you for all that you've done to do the community. You need a Build by Luke sticker. Exactly. And we're out. There we go. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for being here. If you like the content, please be sure to like and subscribe. Click the bell so you're notified of future videos. And you should be getting a recommended video this way. Thank you for being here. Have a great day.